Immortal Cultivation begins with time management. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyright or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 926, Coaxing. How did we become spies? Long was completely puzzled. Two dragons, sneaking into our Shizao army, what else can they be but spies? Qiangzhu argued. Your Highness, didn't you get the news from Dong Zhao? Long stared at Qiangzhu and said, we have left Dong Zhao without saying goodbye. Your Highness, don't you know what this means? I don't know. Qiangzhu pretended to be stupid. How can we know that you are not following the orders of Dong Zhao, deliberately lurking in our Shizao army and secretly sending back information? Since we are really spies, and you are standing in front of us as the enemy commander. Long said expressionlessly, then should we kill people to silence them? Ah! Qiangzhu screamed in fear. Because she suddenly remembered that Long had been promoted to the Demon King of the Cave Origin realm, while she was still only in the Transformation realm. If they really fought, how could you be Long's opponent? Maybe I will be subdued by him by force, tied up, and taken on the road of escape to relieve boredom. Thinking of this, Qiangzhu's face turned pale and she retreated secretly. I shouldn't have chased after him. Seeing that the little tiger finally knew how to be afraid, Long and Long looked at each other for a moment, and then said gently, Your Highness, such a precious body is not suitable to fight with me. For the sake of our past friendship, why don't you turn around and leave, and we won't pursue it, how about it? Qiangzhu was silent for a moment, and he breathed a sigh of relief in his heart, and thought to himself, for the sake of our past friendship. In other words, he definitely has no feelings for me, but, alas, it's just that the two camps are in opposition, and I can't help it, He has already left Dong Zhao and rebelled against the Dragon Clan, so how can there be any opposing camps? I understand. Qiangzhu calmed down and said slowly, I believe you are not spies from Dong Zhao. Since you have already rebelled against Dong Zhao, our Cunning clan can protect you. If you want to go to the White Tiger clan, I can also introduce you. Thank you for your concern, Your Highness. Long was about to say that we should go to the Jialong clan, but Long gave her a look, and she immediately came to her senses. The matter between the Jialong clan and Beiming Fanning should not be easily mentioned to outsiders. But I dare not implicate Your Highness. Long also showed a grateful look and said sincerely, but if this matter is discovered by Dong Zhao, Dong Zhao will definitely be held accountable. Now Dong Zhao and Shizao have united to resist the enemies of the north and the south. If we become enemies with Dong Zhao again because of us, we will really be uneasy. Don't worry. Qiangzhu said hurriedly, I can hide you in my manor. Not to mention Dong Zhao, even Dong Zhao and Shizao will not know about it. Manor, basement, shackles. Long's mind quickly jumped forward, and he was suddenly terrified again. If I really fall into this little tiger's manor, she will do whatever she wants to me and exploit me. This woman really has bad intentions towards me. But Long knew that he couldn't defend the other party at this time. After all, if Qiangzhu disappeared or died in the northern border, it would inevitably cause a strong shock in Shizao and Dong Zhao. If Bizhao takes advantage of the situation to kill, the war may end early. For Long and Long, of course, they hope that the war will last as long as possible, so that Bizhao will be tied up and have no time to search for suspicious people in the territory. Therefore, he just hesitated for a moment, and then said as if to confirm, will this not cause trouble for Your Highness? No. Qiangzhu shook her head like a rattle, and looked at Long expectantly, fearing that this person would say no. Qiangzhu certainly knew how much Long valued Long. Long was shocked at first, but soon reacted. A delaying tactic. First coax Qiangzhu back, and then after arriving in Beiming Fanning, it will not be easy to regret it. It can only be said that too many blank checks have been issued, and girls like Xiao, who were originally innocent and flawless, have now learned it without a teacher. Okay. Long fell silent again. Just when Qiangzhu was feeling a little anxious, she heard Long finally speak. Since His Highness is willing to protect us, I can't hide it anymore. We are going deep into Bizhao this time to meet an elder. Elder? Qiangzhu was confused, but she didn't ask rashly, so as not to alert Long. After meeting the elder, we will go to the southern border of Bizhao in half a month and meet His Highness in Chongshan Snow Ridge. Long continued, if His Highness doesn't regret it at the time, we will follow His Highness back to Dong Zhao. But if His Highness doesn't want to take us in, just don't show up. We won't meet His Highness's people in the Snow Ridge, so we will naturally turn around and leave. I won't regret it. Qiangzhu promised quickly, I will definitely arrange someone to pick you up there. She really said this from the bottom of her heart. You have to know that Long Long's wisdom and strategy are recognized by his master, the White Tiger God General. And his bloodline rank is also extremely noble. He can reach the Dongyuan realm in such a short time. Which demon clan dares to compare with him? Helping Long Long hide in Thongzhou, and then winning his heart and using him later, will be extremely beneficial to both the Cunning clan and the White Tiger clan. Of course, Qiangzhu did not dare to say that she had no selfish motives, but protecting Long Long had enough motives for both public and private reasons, and she certainly would not hide any calculations in it. The only difficulty here is how to convince Long Long, now that she finally got the chance, let alone meeting at the southern border of Bizhou, even if they were asked to invade Bizhou to rescue. Qiangzhu was very confident that she could convince the clan. Then we will meet at Thongshan Snow Ridge in the south of Bizhou in half a month. Qiangzhu said quickly, I will arrange for the White Tiger secret guard to wait there. She hesitated for a moment, sighed and said. You must be careful. Bizhou has always wanted to win over Dongzhou. If they find your traces, they will not be as easy to talk to as I am. Thank you for your concern, Your Highness. Long Long hurriedly thanked and smiled. The two sides exchanged a few more words, and Qiangzhu turned and left. When leaving, Qiangzhu secretly made up her mind to abide by the agreement and pick up Long Long and others in the southern border of Bizhou in half a month. Long Long was also secretly glad that he had finally tripped this difficult little tigress. Next, he took Long Hu to Beiming Fanyan. With the cover of the rift cliff, the two quickly headed north. In order to conceal their tracks, the two did not use the Dragon clan's magical power of flying in the clouds, but chose to fly directly on the sword, turning into two faint sword lights and disappearing in the endless wind and snow. Chapter 927 Bluff. Except for the central continent, the east, south, west and north of the Eastern Empire realm are all oceans. The North Sea has the worst climate. The climate in the North Sea is bitterly cold, and the wind is as sharp as a blade, blowing day and night, and has not stopped in recent years. Its spiritual energy is yin, and it is water-based, so it has a strong erosion ability. It is said that the northern shore of Bizhou is shrinking every year because it is constantly eroded by the tides of the North Sea. Long Long and Long Yu traveled all the way and finally arrived at the coast of Bizhou. Due to the erosion characteristics of the North Sea, most of the Kum tribe are unwilling to get close to the North Sea. Otherwise, they will have built their tribe with great difficulty this year, but the foundation under the tribe will collapse into the sea next year. That is definitely not acceptable. At present, the only tribe willing to live near the North Sea is the Dragon Slug clan. As the name of this tribe suggests, it is probably related to the Jielong clan, but Long Long has never heard of the specific secrets. Since the alliance between the Black Turtle and the Kirin in the North State, the Dragon Slug clan has basically been persecuted. They are often conscripted by the Black Turtle clan to search the North Sea for the traces of the Jielong survivors. The result was naturally nothing. Although the Dragonlice belonged to the Kum tribe, they had been treated harshly for so many years, so it was needless to mention how loyal they were to the Black Turtle tribe. Long Long even speculated maliciously that if the Dragonlice tribe really found traces of the Beiming Fanyan, not to mention reporting it to the Black Turtle tribe, they might even take the initiative to help cover it up. The two encountered a village of the Dragonlice tribe on the coast of the North Sea. There were about 50 or 60 people in the village, and most of them made a living by fishing. They did not practice cultivation, and they also looked strange and weird, which was unique to the Kum tribe. There was only one old man who lived in a house in the central area of the village. According to Long Long's scan, this person was the only cultivator in the transformation realm in that village, and of course his cultivation realm was really low. Although the old man had the best living environment and treatment in the village, he was not even as good as the servants of the Kanglong tribe. This showed how bitter, cold and dangerous the environmental conditions near the North Sea were. Long asked in a low voice, what should we do? I'll go in and take a look first. Long replied. The North Sea is too big, and a carpet-style investigation is like looking for a needle in a haystack, which is definitely not feasible. The safest and most reliable way is, of course, to capture a Dragonlice who is familiar with the local situation and let him lead the way. After finding the North Cape Cod Bay, he will kill him to silence him, but doing so is not a bottom line, and if he is discovered by the Jielong clan who monitors the North Sea, he will inevitably be afraid of his character and be on guard. Therefore, after careful consideration, Long thought it would be better to steal the map. For other monks, stealing a map is too troublesome. Who knows if someone has drawn a map and where it is hidden? It is far less simple and convenient than patching a local. But Long Long has the ability to scan. As long as the monks in the village have indeed drawn a map of the North Sea, he can dig it out for you no matter where it is hidden in the house. With the help of Jing's illusion, he quietly sneaked into the center of the village and then came to the door of the residence of the old man in the transformation realm. 3 or 5 villagers surrounded the old man, talking worriedly. Master Gongshen, a Dragonlice tribe member, said, "We really can't come up with a reason this year." "Then find it." The old man, who was called Gongshen, seemed impatient with this kind of thing, and waved his hand and said, "Find some clues of shrimp soldiers and crack generals, so that I can report to the task." "But it's been nearly 300 years. Another Dragonlice tribe member said, "What excuses haven't we used before?" "You can always think of excuses that you haven't used before." The old man began to skillfully push the blame. "For example, we saw traces of clouds and mist, which is suspected to be the magical power of a dragon flying in the clouds. We are currently stepping up the investigation. Isn't that enough?" "This excuse has been used 7 times. A Dragonlice tribe member reminded. "How can there be 6 times?" The old man said angrily, "I remember only 3 times. 3 times is not a small number." A tribe member said with a frown, "Last time, the Black Turtle tribe sent people to investigate our discovery. If we are not careful and reveal a flaw, we will be charged with deceiving the upper tribe. If you can't make it up, it means you are not doing your job well." The old man sneered, "Can you bear the charge of disrespecting the upper tribe?" The people of Longship village shook their heads and said, "I can't bear it, but didn't Shizao attack Bizao recently? When will Chuan die? If the tribe is exterminated, we don't have to search for any dragons anymore. Don't say this kind of nonsense." The old man spat, "You hope the sky will fall every day, but when have you seen the sky really fall? Hurry up and make up some reasons for me." The tribe members left with sighs, and the old man shook his head and turned to go into the house. As a result, as soon as he opened the door, he saw a black turtle monk sitting on a chair, sipping tea leisurely. The reason why he could recognize the other party as a black turtle monk at a glance was because of the slow manner in which the other party drank tea. No monk from another clan would be like this. The old man felt cold in his heart, but he said with a smile on his face, "Why did the noble envoy of the upper clan suddenly visit? I'm not treating you well." This black turtle monk was naturally Long Long in disguise. Using Jing's illusion hint, the old man had a preconceived idea of his identity and believed it without a doubt. He put down his teacup and said slowly, "Now that the war in the northern province is raging, we need to be more wary of the remnants of the North Sea. I ask you, how is the search for the remnants going now?" To answer the question from the upper clan, the old man immediately put on a bitter face and said flatteringly, "We have indeed not found any clues this year." The reason he said this was because he was worried that the black turtle monk who appeared in his room at some point would hear the conversation outside the door. He had just made up a reason outside the door, and he lied directly when he came back to meet. If the other party already knows about this, lying will definitely seriously anger him or her. It is better to honestly admit that you have done a poor job in the hope of being treated leniently. Long Long sneered and said, "Do you know your guilt?" The old man immediately prostrated himself on the ground, trembling, and said, my clan is guilty. It's just, considering that my clan has been searching the North Sea diligently for so many years, I ask the upper clan to be lenient." On the surface, these words sounded like a plea, but in fact, they were a reminder to Long Long, except for our Dragonlice clan who can endure the cold, which other demon clan is willing to search the North Sea for you for so many years? Long Long naturally understood what he meant and sneered, "I don't understand. This beiming Fanyan has been hiding in the North Sea for so many years, and it is impossible for it to move away. How come you can't find any clues at all?" Reporting to the Immortal, the old man banged his head on the ground, crying and saying, "The Jialong clan has always been cunning. They have never stepped out of the beiming Fanyan for so many years. As for the traces of the beiming Fanyan, it is even more mysterious and difficult to find. But our people are patrolling the North Sea all the time. As long as the dragon dares to take a step, we will immediately follow that clues, locate the secret place, and capture it in one fell swoop." Chapter 928 Cot Bay. The old man was crying while speaking, and even though Long Long knew he was acting, he couldn't help but feel a little sympathetic for a moment. Being able to do this for the family, there is really nothing to blame. Long Long originally wanted to scare him again, so that even if the genuine envoys of the Black Turtle clan came later to inquire about the affairs of Beiming Fanyan, the old man would be so frightened that even if he noticed something was wrong, he might not dare to ask the other party for confirmation. But now, seeing that the old man's tone was full of emotion and tears came as soon as he spoke, it was obvious that he was experienced and extremely slippery, so there was no need to warn him too much. The Black Turtle clan can destroy your Dragon clan, so can't our Jialong clan. With the old man's intelligence, he must know that once the two clans conflict with each other, the Dragon clan caught in the gap will definitely be the first to suffer. So he stopped talking nonsense and said indifferently, "Go and get the map of the North Sea. I want to explore it myself. Right away." The old man was immediately overjoyed and quickly returned with a jade slip. "Please take a look, Your Excellency." Your Excellency asked for a map of the North Sea. "Please allow me to explain. The North Sea is actually divided into two layers, the upper and lower layers." "Oh?" Long Long raised his eyebrows. "Go on." "The North Sea is extremely cold," the old man said. "In the extreme north, wherever the cold wind blows, everything turns into ice. The ice is 1,000 feet thick, sinking the abyss and blocking the river. Therefore, there is a layer above the floating ice. The floating ice stretches for thousands of miles, and it will crack under the rise and fall of the tide. Under the cracks is the warm seawater, and the underwater environment is another layer. Under the seabed, our Dragonglass clan has gone through thousands of years and has drawn a complete hydrological map. Your Excellency can refer to the jade slip. On the floating ice, as I said before, since the floating ice is prone to cracking and solidifying, it is long and has no fixed shape, so it is impossible to map the specific terrain. But if the envoy wants to send people to search, our tribe can also send people who are familiar with the environment and good at finding the way to guide and escort the envoy." "Forget it." Long Long sneered unceremoniously. "If your people are really good at finding the way, why can't they find the way to Beiming Fanyan after so many years?" He picked up the jade slip indifferently and walked away. The old man watched Long Long leave, but he didn't dare to breathe. He actually vaguely guessed that the other party was unwilling to let him send people to help because he suspected that the people of the Dragonglass tribe and the Jialong tribe were secretly colluding, but this kind of thing is getting worse and worse, so he could only not make any excuses and put on an attitude of doing whatever you want. Long Long left the village, resolved the illusion, and found Long who was waiting outside. He took out the jade slip and said, "Found it. Look, this is the map of the North Sea. So big." Long immersed his consciousness in it and exclaimed a little. "The map of the entire North Sea must be this big." Long Long sighed and said, "It's a pity that there is no topography above the floating ice." At this point, he pondered for a moment and said, "But fortunately, there is a map of the underwater topography, and the warm and cold currents are clearly marked. The Kot Bay in the North Sea, since it is blocked by ice cliffs on both sides and the seawater does not freeze all year round, it will inevitably form a heat radiation circle around it." "What is a heat radiation circle?" Long asked curiously. "That's it." Long Long drew a picture for her. "In the center is warm seawater, and the seawater temperature decreases in circles outward. In other words, as long as we look for the source of the warm current and check one by one, we can probably find the location of the North Cape Kot Bay." Long seemed to understand what he heard, so he nodded and said, "Then let's go to the bottom of the sea." So the two of them did not stay near the village, but came to the shore of Bizao and jumped down. The moment they sank into the ocean, an unstoppable strange cold came from all directions. Long hurriedly activated his bloodliner magic to stimulate the dragon blood in his body, and soon expelled all the cold from his body. However, because Long's dragon bloodliner was sealed, she could not use the Dragon Clan magic. For a while, she was dizzy and shivering. Long hurriedly hugged her, bit his lips, kissed Longu, and passed the hot dragon blood to her. So the dragon fox regained some consciousness, and finally activated the cold-avoiding magic to get rid of the control of the cold. He applied medicine to Long's lips with tears in his eyes, and asked in a crying voice, "I'm sorry, Long, does it hurt? Why make such a fuss?" In the sea of consciousness, Kunlun Mirror said suddenly, "Isn't the glass lamp on your body? Take out the glass lamp and activate it, and you will naturally be immune to all colds. Why do you need to hurt your body and use blood to treat the other person? You don't understand, Ajing." Long said confidently, "In a critical moment, how can you care about so many things?" He deliberately took a breath of cold air and said in a trembling voice, "It hurts so much. I need a kiss from the fox to stop the pain." Kunlun Mirror was stunned. When the dragon fox heard that he was so shameless, he knew that he was fine. He kissed him several times with a smile and coaxed him. "Does it still hurt?" "It hurts. Kiss a few more times." The two of them stayed in the sea for a long time before setting off again. The jade slips given by the Dragonlice tribe clearly marked the locations and routes of the major ocean currents, and even detailed the migratory fish schools around. Although the seabed environment was dim and difficult to see, Long Long could confirm the surrounding terrain anytime and anywhere with the help of scanning capabilities, and compared it with the map on the jade slip, so he did not encounter many difficulties. After about 6 or 7 days, the two searched for more than 20 warm current convergence points and finally found a break in the floating ice. The break looked small on the seabed, but it was found to be very large after floating up, and there were a large number of codfish clusters around, sometimes rotating and cruising, and sometimes colliding with each other, competing for the warmer water layer above. Long Long knew that this was probably the North Cape Cod Bay, and hurriedly rushed out of the water with Dragon Fox. Outside was a V-shaped canyon, formed by two towering glaciers. The canyon was not affected by the cold wind outside, and there was direct sunlight, so the temperature was actually a little warm. In addition to the cod in the water, there were also white bears, goshawks, seals and other unintelligent monsters nearby, gathering here to prey on the cod. As Long Long and Dragon Fox jumped out of the water, these monsters felt a great threat based on their intuition, so they quickly scattered like birds and beasts. "We have arrived here." Long Long scanned again and confirmed that there were no monks around, so he said to Dragon Fox, "Let's wait for a while and see if Beiming Fanyan will contact us." "Yes." Dragon Fox said obediently. So Long Long used magic again to dig a cave in the wall of the glacier and let Dragon Fox come in to rest. Chapter 929. First entering Beiming Fanyan. In the ice cave, it is unknown whether it is day or night. Long Long asked Ah Jing and found out that almost half a month had passed, and there was still no sign of Beiming Fanyan. Oh my goodness. It seems that he was stood up. Thinking of this, Long Long was furious. But now, the two of them must not return to Dongzhou, otherwise it would be difficult to explain why they suddenly disappeared. "Let's go back to Shizhou." Although Wu Li is definitely willing to accept them, Shizhou was too dry and barren, and most of the Mao people are unfamiliar, so Long Hu is obviously not used to living there. "Do we really have to go back to Dongzhou?" I had agreed to meet up with Qiangzhu before, but in fact it was just an excuse to ask her to leave quickly, but now it is unexpectedly coming true. Thinking of this, Long Long was annoyed for a while. It was agreed to be Cod Bay in North Cape, and half a month has passed since the agreed date. Why is there no sign of anyone? It can't be that we have found the wrong place. Impossible, absolutely impossible. If there is a second place like Cod Bay in the North Sea, Beiming Fanyan should have warned us in advance, otherwise how can we outsiders find it? Since they didn't warn us, there must be only one place with schools of cod. So why don't they come to us? Long Long left the ice cave in silence and saw Long Hu sitting on the edge of the broken ice sheet fishing. Probably because they are competing for the warm current, the cod here collide and attack each other, and the meat is also extra tender and plump. The two used to use flying swords to pierce the fish and roast them casually for dinner, but Long Hu was really bored recently, so he changed fishing to pass the time. At first, the cod were very stupid. Even if there was a tail hair on the hook, they would rush to grab the food, allowing Long Hu to take the bait one after another and get a lot of fish. But recently they seem to have learned to be smart. They don't even look at the tail hair and swim away without any attachment. Long Hu had been busy for the whole morning, but only managed to catch 2 or 3 fish. Now he was staring at the water with his chin in his hand, his fluffy tail sometimes swept left and sometimes swept right, looking very bored. Long Long quietly went over and grabbed the base of Long Hu's tail. Before he could stroke it a few times, the tail was pulled out of his palm and casually slapped him. So Long Hu sat there fishing, and Long Long played with her tail behind him. It was not until the sun was high in the sky, when the midday sun was the hottest and the temperature was the warmest and most pleasant. The codfish under the water rushed out of the water to absorb the essence of the sun, and there were many more fools who hit the hook. Long Long finally filled the small bucket he brought with him, and handed it to Long Long with satisfaction, saying, "1 each of pepper powder, chili powder, 5 spice powder and salt baked." "Yes." Long Long began to process the raw fish and marinate them with seasonings. This condiment was the leftover from Mishi, and it was stuffed into his storage bag. It can still be used now. After the two finished grilling the cod and feasted on it, they lay on the ice and didn't want to move, basking in the sun comfortably. Kumlin Jin couldn't bear it anymore and asked, "Are we just waiting here? What else can we do?" Long Long asked her, Beiming Fanyan refuses to show up, and we have no other place to go. Speaking of which, if you, Jin, couldn't scan Beiming Fanyan's trace, would we have to wait here? Kumlin Jin was a little speechless for a while, but soon reacted and asked him, when I can't scan, I need you to use your intelligence. Otherwise, what's the use of relying on my scanning for everything? I might as well find a pig to be the host, and it will dig wherever I scan. Puff. Sumin Jian laughed beside him. Okay. Long Long was also unscrupulous, laughing, then please ask our Jin to find someone else. No, ask someone else. Jaju, Sumin Jian, you help me supervise, I want to see how she can guide a pig to find that fragment of the booty in stone. I said you, Kumlin Jin wanted to retort, but the words were suddenly stuck at the tip of his tongue. What's wrong? Long Long also noticed a strange pause. Do you realize your mistake? Here it comes. Kumlin Jin said. What's come in? Long Long was startled at first, then immediately jumped up, scaring the dragon fox next to him. Before the two had time to communicate anything, they saw a huge whirlpool suddenly appear in the seawater in the codfish bay. The whirlpool was getting bigger and bigger, squeezing a large number of codfish to the periphery. Long Long was staring at it, waiting to see what monsters would emerge from it, and suddenly heard Kumlin Jin shout, "Jump!" Long Long grabbed the dragon fox's arm without thinking, and jumped into the whirlpool. As the world spun, the two emerged from the water again, and saw that the world was suddenly clear. The original North Cape Cod Bay was located between the cracks of a huge glacier that was nearly 100 meters wide, so it felt quite cramped. However, this cave was a vast ice field, with no end in sight in all directions. There was only a huge iceberg in the distance that pierced the sky, which was very conspicuous on the vast ice field. Long Long looked carefully and found that the iceberg was narrow and high, and had the style of the Shenlong Tower in the imperial capital. It was probably polished by the day after tomorrow to allow the dragon to coil and live on it. He swept his eyes around and saw that a large number of dragon monks had surrounded him. A rough count showed that there were more than 20 people. Among them was an old man with his hands tied behind his back. A middle-aged strong man stood beside him and asked him, "Are these the only two thieves from the outside world that you contacted privately?" The old man looked embarrassed, nodded, and shook his head. Seeing this, the strong man sneered and shouted, "Take him down." So everyone rushed forward to take Long Long. How could Long Long sit there and wait for death? Besides, after just a scan, he found that there were only 5 or 6 people in the Dongyuan realm among the 20 people, and the rest were in the waxing realm. Without thousands of ancestors, how dare you come to take me? He also sneered, threw the dragon fox on his back, and suddenly transformed into a dragon body. After entering the Dongyuan realm, his dragon body was already hundreds of feet long, and it broke through the crowd's encirclement in an instant. Then there was another dragon roar, and the dragon's might was overwhelming. Master Shiro once said that among the many attack methods of the dragon clan, dragon might is the best, followed by magic, and then martial arts. The reason is that dragon might is extremely overbearing and unreasonable. If you are not as good as the other party in rank, you will be suppressed by the dragon's might and cannot move. So the 20 or so dragon monks were all knocked to the ground by the dragon's might. The cultivators in the Dongyuan realm were still able to move, but those in the waxing realm were paralyzed and fell to their knees, unable to break free. Chapter 930 Hospitality. How strong is Long Long now? If the first grade golden elixir has opened up a gap in strength between him and the golden elixir real people at the same realm, then after the formation of the first grade immortal infant, this gap itself has been widened again. Today's Long Long's combat strength is certainly not as good as that of a real immortal, but it is not far behind. The so-called immortal infant does have the power comparable to that of an immortal. As for ordinary cultivators in the Yuning realm, no matter how many there are, they cannot be controlled. Although the Jielong cultivators in the Beiming Fanyan have a relatively complete inheritance of skills, they have not communicated with the outside world for such a long time, and lack a sufficient fighting environment, so most of the cultivators' combat capabilities are not very good. Being overwhelmed by Long Long's dragon power, he did not think about getting rid of the control of consciousness at the first time, but kept struggling with his body, and the result was naturally that he had no power to fight back. Long Long looked around the scene indifferently, and his eyes finally fell on the subdued old man, and he already had a guess in his mind. It seems that the old man should be the one who contacted him through the teleportation aid before. As for why he was caught by the middle-aged monk, the reason is not difficult to guess. There are always two forces in Beiming Fanyan, namely conservatives and reformists. The former has caused Beiming Fanyan to never be open to the outside world, so it is the main fault of the Jialong clan. The latter is the person who contacts Shiro and Longlong, and can only do it secretly. As for why Longlong who was left out for more than half a month, it is probably because the old man of the reformist faction intended to open a passage for the two of them, but was discovered by the conservatives. Thinking of this, Longlong looked at the old man, and the dragon power exerted on him was reduced a little. The old man finally got up and pointed at Longlong, but his face was full of hatred and regret. You. What's wrong with me? Longlong was puzzled. It was obviously me who saved you, but you put on such a stinky face. What does it mean? How can you be in the Dongyuan realm? The old man said unwillingly. Longlong. This and so it's because I deliberately created a silly and innocent character in the communication jade slip, so that this old Jialong man thought I was a little demon who was not very experienced in the world. To be honest, with your IQ, it's better not to let Beiming Fanyan contact the outside world. Why can't I be in the Dongyuan realm? Longlong asked back. The old man was speechless. When he got the blood sent by Longlong, he immediately took it for a spell test, and the result confirmed that the other party was a genuine dragon, but the realm of cultivation was not satisfactory. Because of this, the old man would let down his guard against Longlong. After all, the other party was still a child. But he didn't expect that this child would immediately transform into a big man in the Dongyuan realm as soon as he arrived at Beiming Fanyan, and knocked all more than 20 strong men to the ground if he had evil intentions again. How would Beiming Fanyan protect itself? Well, the other party is also a Jialong after all, he shouldn't kill his own kind, right? Looking at his fellow tribesmen lying on the ground, the old man swallowed slowly, feeling cold sweat seeping out from his temples. You Beiming Fanyan are too much. Longlong said confidently, we heard that Beiming Fanyan is the last gathering place of the Jialong survivors, so we came from afar to seek refuge, but we were besieged as soon as we entered. What's going on? Is this the way Beiming Fanyan treats guests? The Jialong monks in the Kavyuan realm were still struggling, and they froze in place after hearing this, with 10,000 complaints in their hearts. Which guest would press the host to the ground with dragon power as soon as he entered the host's house? Longlong. The dragon fox came out to play that good cop at the right time. I think there must be some misunderstanding here. Why don't you wait for everyone to get up first? The Jialong monks were silent. What do you mean by wait for us to get up? It's clear that you have to let us get up. As soon as the thought fell, the dragon power on his body lightened. Everyone stood up in a panic and cast their eyes on the middle-aged monk, asking him what to do now. The middle-aged monk was also embarrassed. He had blurted out calling the other party thief before, and was knocked down by the other party's dragon power in the blink of an eye. Even a fool would know that so many of them were no match for the other party. What else could he do? It was still up to the other party to do whatever they wanted. Speaking of which, Longlong asked again with a dissatisfied look, we have been standing here for so long, don't we have any tea to drink? Yes. The old man was finally the first to react, and winked at the middle-aged monk frantically. The middle-aged monk was silent for a moment, waved his hand and said, then please move. The group walked silently towards the iceberg. Along the way, the middle-aged monk and the old man did not say a word, but Longlong naturally knew that they were communicating in secret, so he did not stop them, but just scanned the surroundings leisurely. This Beiming Fanyan is somewhat similar to the Jinghan Temple. They are both basically closed caves and secret realms, and there is a basic circulation of spiritual energy in the secret realms, so they can accommodate a large number of monks for a long time. When Longlong scanned the foot of the iceberg, he found that there was indeed a small town here, which was full of little dragon monsters who were about to transform. On the ice field outside the town, there was a large lake, and swimming in it were young dragons with lower cultivation levels, who had not even transformed into leks, playing and frolicking with each other in the lake. It feels a bit like the Jianmu divine island of Kanglong. Long said to Longlong casually. The surrounding dragon monks were all shocked. What? It turned out that they were sent by the Kanglong clan to invade our Beiming Fanyan. It's far behind, okay? Longlong said, look at the base number of these non-transformed Jialongs, and then look at the number of transformed cultivators. This transformed ratio is completely inferior to that of the Kanglong clan, okay? Cultivators. Actually, the old man said cautiously, we still have many cultivators who are not here. What you see is only a part of it. Oh. Longlong said casually, even so, it is definitely not as good as the demon clan outside. Although the spiritual energy in this Beiming Fanyan can circulate on its own, what about those natural treasures? What about various cultivation resources? They all require a specific environment to be born. The demon clan in the Donghuan realm can get them through various means. Beiming Fanyan is isolated from the world, so you have no way to do this, right? The Jialong cultivators were silent again. Long Long's analysis was not wrong. Although the cultivation of the demon cultivators is mainly to inhale and exhale the essence of the sun and the moon, it is not useful to just eat wind and drink dew. For example, forging magic weapons, practicing special skills, or even encountering bottlenecks and needing to break through, all kinds of cultivation resources may be used. When Beiming Fanyan was first built, a large amount of cultivation resources were stored inside. However, later the Jialong clan declined in Thongzhou, and Beiming Fanyan was completely isolated from the outside world, entering a state of eating up all the resources. After so many years, although the inventory is still enough for the clan to use, it is an indisputable fact that there are fewer and fewer things. The cultivators of the old man's faction are prepared for danger in times of peace, and advocate hiding their identities to communicate with the outside world, giving priority to obtaining resources. While the faction of the middle-aged cultivator believes that it is too dangerous to contact the outside world. After all, the enemy forces of the Jialong survivors are too powerful. If the entrance to Beiming Fanyan is discovered, everyone will fall into an irretrievable situation. Now it seems that he was not wrong. The first time the old man ventured to open the entrance to the secret realm, didn't he let a big disaster in? Chapter 931. The three-tribe mixed blood. His Royal Highness Dragon Fox. In the iceberg tower, Long Long stood calmly with his hands behind his back, while Longy stood beside him. As the old man issued the order to assemble, all the cultivators in Beiming Fanyan soon gathered in the ice hall, looking at the two young men with strange expressions. Is this all? Long Long asked the old man with a complicated expression. That's all. The old man replied, a total of 107 cultivators, all here. Long Long roughly counted with a scan and found that there were only 26 people in the Kavyuan realm, and the rest were all cultivators in the transformation realm. As for the ancestors, there was actually no one. No wonder Beiming Fanyan was so suspicious and closed the door. After all, there was no immortal guarding the cave heaven. As long as any demon clan ancestor came from outside, even if he was from a very weak demon clan, he could easily crush the remnants of the Jialong people to the ground. Why is there no ancestor? Long Long asked the old man again. Logically speaking, with the bloodliner level of our Jialong, it shouldn't be. The cultivation of the demon clan pays attention to bloodliner origin. The higher the bloodliner level from the parents, the faster the cultivation speed, and the higher the upper limit. Ahem. The old man said awkwardly, in the secret realm, there is not enough spiritual energy, and there is no heavenly tribulation for the transformation. Without the heavenly tribulation of the transformation, it is naturally impossible to transform into an immortal. It is a very simple and plain truth. Since it is impossible to transform into an immortal in the secret realm, why not? Long Long frowned and asked. If we leave the secret realm, how can we guarantee the safety of Beiming Fanyan? This time, it was not the old man who answered, but the middle-aged cultivator. The heavenly tribulation of the feathered dragon is awe-inspiring, and the one who is going through the tribulation is a dragon. Once the true form is revealed, how can it be hidden from others? When the Cunning clan follows the trail and kills us, the other party will be fine, and we, the survivors of the dragon, will die without a burial place. That's not necessarily the case. The old man argued with him. 3,000 years ago, a senior left without permission, and nothing happened later. One person left, and nothing happened. The middle-aged cultivator argued with him. If 10 or 100 people left, as long as one person leaked the secret, the whole clan would be destroyed. When the two people were arguing, the 20 or so people who were traveling with the middle-aged cultivator nodded in agreement. The other cultivators had different expressions on their faces, but they did not stand up to support either side. So Long Long soon realized that due to the lack of ancestors in this secret realm, there was no strong voice to coordinate the will of the entire clan. The middle-aged cultivator has won over 20 or so Jialong cultivators who were also xenophobic. They are the radical force that dominates Beiming Fanyan and the culprit for Beiming Fanyan not being open to the outside world for so many years. The old man is the only pro-outsider. He knows that it is not feasible to continue to be in seclusion, but his momentum is far inferior to that of the middle-aged cultivator, so he can only contact the outside world secretly. As for the vast majority of Jialong cultivators, they don't care about the future direction of Beiming Fanyan at all. In fact, most of the sects in the cultivation world are the same. If it weren't for the sect's forced regulations, the Union elders would not even want to take in disciples, and would be satisfied with taking care of their own paths. Although the old man was stubborn and refused to admit defeat, he had more than 20 people on the other side to support him, so he was at a disadvantage in terms of momentum. He had to bring out Long Hu and said, "The reason why I privately opened Beiming Fanning this time was not for my own personal gain, but for the daughter of that majesty." "Nonsense, you." The middle-aged monk was about to rebuke him for lying to get away with it, but his eyes fell on Long Long and he immediately took back his words. This man can neither be defeated nor provoke, so it is better not to offend him. The radicals dared not speak, and most of the neutral people were in an uproar. That majesty? Who is it? Who else could it be except that majesty Ying Long? For a moment, people gathered together and everyone came to see Long Hu's appearance. The middle-aged monk looked at Long Long and quickly asked his men to maintain order and prevent other monks from crowding in randomly, so as not to anger Long Long. However, with only 20 people facing more than 80 people, it was really powerless to maintain order. Dragon Fox suddenly stood up and said, "I know that everyone has great doubts about my identity. If you have any questions, I will try my best to answer them here." This was of course Long Long's order, which just hit the appetite of these neutral monks. After a quarrel, they pushed out a Jialong monk and asked, "May I ask this, Your Highness? You said that you are the bloodline heir of that majesty. Do you have any evidence that can convince people?" "This is very simple." The old man suddenly came out and said, "I am the clan leader of the clan, so I will test your bloodliner, and you can supervise and witness it from the side." After hearing what he said, everyone clamored to watch, so the old man hurriedly added, "Only 10 people. 10 at most." In the end, everyone made a lot of noise and elected 9 people to supervise the old man to test the bloodliner. The remaining quota was taken by the middle-aged monk of the radical faction, who personally confirmed it. The Dragon Fox took a drop of blood essence, and after the old man got the blood essence, he began to perform magic on the spot. Long Long watched with interest and found that the magic veins performed by the old man were roughly similar to the blood puppet magic used by the dragon in the prison dragon well in the past. It was basically certain that they were from the same source. As the ritual magic was performed to the end, the blood essence gradually divided into 3 parts, and finally took the shape of Yinglong, Tianhu, and the human race. Everyone stared at the blood essence in a daze, showing a confused expression. Only the old man was stunned for a moment, and suddenly shouted in ecstasy, "The queen in the past was a human-fox hybrid. Now this blood identification result is the best proof of your highness's identity." Speaking of the human-fox hybrid queen, the cultivators of the dragon clan are not unfamiliar. After all, the Yinglong Empire in the past went on an expedition to the human world for her. Therefore, hearing this, most of the dragon cultivators have believed it very much, no longer doubting, and hurriedly saluted the Dragon Fox respectfully, calling him Your Highness. Although the middle-aged monks and other radicals had concerns, they all lowered their heads and stopped talking. Only the old man muttered to himself for a moment, and then asked again, "It's just, why is it a mixed blood of 3 tribes? This shouldn't be. In the bloodliner, the 3-legged tripod is very unstable, because the 2 strong bloodliners will often eat up the weakest bloodliner first, and the process is so cruel that the newborns can't even survive to adulthood." Seeing that the time has come, Long Long came out and said, "We came to Beiming Fanning this time to solve the blood conflict problem in His Highness." As he said that, he signaled Long Hu to take out the pendant hidden in his chest and show the fragment of the booty and stone on it to the Jialong monks. Chapter 932 The crux of the bloodliner conflict. The blood problem of Her Highness is indeed quite tricky. After a careful examination, the old dragon named Long Yuan stroked his beard, shook his head and exclaimed, "The crux of this should come from her grandmother." "Oh?" Long Long asked curiously, "Why?" Long Yuan explained, "Her Highness has 3 bloodliners: human, dragon, and fox. The human and fox come from her mother and are connected to each other, resisting the powerful devouring of that dragon bloodliner, forming the current 3-legged situation. If it weren't for the seal of the booty and stone fragments, Her Highness' body would definitely be used as a battlefield and the fighting would continue, but this is actually a paradox. Because theoretically speaking, her mother's human and fox bloodliners should not coexist at the same time. The Sky Fox bloodliner should devour her human bloodliner. Indeed, Long Long said, "Then why does her mother have 2 bloodliners?" "I guess it's because of her grandmother." Long Yuan replied, "Her grandmother disguised herself as a human and went to the human world to steal the Qin's human sword for the demon clan. As a result, she didn't bring the sword back, but returned alone pregnant. The child in the womb is Your Highness's mother." From now on, she should have been tampered with since her mother's womb, causing her Sky Fox bloodliner to be unable to devour the human bloodliner. Otherwise, according to the fusion rate, there would be no human bloodliner left after she was born. Then Yin Xiaojin, why did you fix your daughter's human and fox bloodliner? Long thought for a long time. I don't know. Long Yuan also replied, because the human bloodliner does not have any inherent magical powers, there are only disadvantages and no benefits to having human bloodliner. In my opinion, this practice does not seem to be for her good, but rather a curse, so it may not be her grandmother who did it. Maybe the Sun Sword Master turned against her and killed her after knowing his wife's identity. Nonsense, Long thought to himself. The Sun Sword Master loved the Moon Sword Master so much that he even betrayed the Sword Sect and was abandoned by all human beings in the world. How could he do something to the child in his wife's belly? But who else knew Yin Xiaojin's identity in advance and had the time and ability to curse her? After all, after Yin Xiaojin's identity was exposed, she followed Yang Zhao all the way to the Tianqian Realm Gate. During this period, she had no chance to come into contact with other hostile cultivators. Even if there was, the other party would definitely be killed by the Sun Sword Master as soon as they met. Su Ming. Long said slowly, I don't know. Su Ming Jian said immediately, it's useless to ask me. I refused to cooperate with the Demon Sword Master, so she threw me into the sword pool before she left. Come on. Long was silent for a moment, and said, Qin Sword Master, to refine the Qin Su Ming sword into a lifelong sword, you need to hide the sword in your body and nurture it, right? You have been in Yin Xiaojin's body for so long, didn't you find that she is actually from the Sky Fox clan? I didn't find out. Su Ming Jian replied, the secret method of their Sky Fox clan is very magical. I always thought she was from the human race, so you actually knew that she was a Sky Fox, right? Long suddenly asked. I definitely didn't know it a long time ago. Su Ming Jian argued, if I had known from the beginning, how could I have recognized her as my master? She's a demon, okay? That's what I found out later. Long began to ponder, in other words, you discovered at the time that your sword master was actually a celestial fox from the demon race. You doubted your own judgment, and then experienced emotions such as disbelief, anger at being deceived, and fear of causing a disaster. In the end, you decided to vent your hatred on the fetus in Qin Sword Master's belly. Wow, Su Ming, you are so shameless. You can't beat the Sword Master himself, so you take it out on the unborn child, right? I'm not, don't talk nonsense. Su Ming Jian said helplessly, think about it, even if I have the secret method to suppress my bloodliner, I won't be so shameless as to bully a child. I'm the Fixer Divine Sword. So it was really you who did it. Long immediately realized, it's just that you were not proactive, you were passive, right? Yin Xiaojin asked you to do this. Master Sword Master, please stop guessing. Su Ming Jian also suddenly realized. After that, no matter how Long asked, it refused to say another word. In short, Long Yuan replied, it is still quite difficult to fuse 3 conflicting bloodliners with our existing bloodliner manipulation spells. But the human and Sky Fox bloodliners in your highness body are integrated into one. This phenomenon is worthy of our careful study. If we can have a breakthrough in this regard, then it will be a piece of cake to solve the conflict with the dragon bloodliner in the future. I see. Long urged Su Ming Jian, hand over the secret method quickly. What Lord Sword Master is talking about, I really don't know. I didn't say it was you who did it, I just asked you to tell me the secret method of bloodliner fusion that you know. Su Ming Jian pondered for a moment and replied. Since Lord Sword Master said so, I have indeed learned similar secret methods, but I really don't know anything about those things. Please don't ask, Lord Sword Master. Don't ask, Long said impatiently, hand over the secret method of bloodliner fusion quickly. Su Ming Jian then said a secret method, and Long relayed it to Elder Long Yuan, shocking the old man. How did you know? Did your mother relay it back then? No, it's not right, she shouldn't have been, don't worry about it. Long interrupted him rudely, hurry up and study the method of treating your highness. After sending Elder Long Yuan to work, Long left the inner hall. When he came outside, he saw Long Yu sitting on the main seat in the main hall, checking various materials of Beiming Fanyan. She didn't have much experience in governance, but Beiming Fanyan had been leaderless for a long time, and now it finally had the biological daughter of Emperor Yinglong. The legality of this rule was directly maximized, and personal ability was secondary. Long Seeing that Long Long finally came back, Long Hu immediately jumped off the seat and entangled him, crying and acting coquettishly, "I can't do it, I can't do it. Those, I don't know anything." The Jialong people passing by pretended not to hear tacitly and turned away. "Don't worry, I'll teach you." Long Long took the dragon fox back to the main seat and began to teach her how to count the population of the tribe, how to manage accounts, how to formulate criminal laws, how to arrange work, and so on. After all, after getting the fragments of the booty and stone, he would leave the Donghuan realm. Before that, he would teach the little fox a last lesson so that she could manage Beiming Fanning in an orderly manner without him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 933 The Eve of Farewell. In the Beiming Fanning secret realm, there are about tens of thousands of Jialong people, much more than Long Long originally estimated. It is very difficult to manage the eating, drinking, defecating and urinating of tens of thousands of people. But Beiming Fanning has been leaderless for many years, so everyone has adapted to this long-term anarchy. Every household prioritizes taking care of their own affairs and does not need too many management functions. On the other hand, this lax state has also seriously affected the development of Beiming Fanning. For example, on the issue of whether to communicate with the outside world, from beginning to end, only Elder Long Yuan and Elder Long Qi, a middle-aged monk led by the radical faction, argued endlessly, and the rest of the Jialong monks did not care about it at all. It can be seen that Beiming Fanning not only lacks leadership, but also does not even have a collective consensus on how to develop next. To bring such Beiming Fanning together, the first thing to face is the scattered hearts of people. As the daughter of Emperor Yinglong, Long Hu has natural political prestige in this regard. If her own cultivation realm can reach the level of an ancestor, then her ruling position will be even more unshakable. After all, the cultivation of the waxing realm is still a bit low, so it is necessary to win over the elders of the Dongyuan realm to ensure that the subsequent governance and reforms can proceed smoothly. There are a total of 3 factions here. Long Long began to teach Long Hu the Emperor's mind, the pro-foreign faction of Elder Long Yuan, the xenophobic faction of Elder Long Qi, and the neutral faction without any inclination. Long Hu tried to do reading comprehension by himself, support the pro-foreign faction, win over the neutral faction, and crack down on the xenophobic faction, right? Yes, but not entirely. Long Long said mysteriously, "What do you think are the characteristics of the pro-foreign faction of Beiming Fanning?" "Few people." Long Hu guessed and asked. "There are indeed few people." Long Long said, "Generally speaking, the number of people willing to participate in politics is proportional to the population base. Among the Jialong clan, there are hundreds of cultivators above the transformation realm, and more than 20 of them are interested in the future of Beiming Fanning. This proportion is actually not small." Long knew that he was talking about the xenophobic faction, so he pondered for a moment and said, "So, even among the large number of neutral factions, there are not many truly pro-foreign factions, right?" "That's right." Long Long said, "The neutral faction is not strictly without tendency, but because the current pro-foreign and xenophobic factions, the political propositions of both sides are not attractive to them. However, if you really have to choose sides, there must be more people who choose xenophobia than those who choose pro-foreign. And Beiming Fanning obviously cannot continue to be closed, so what you have to do next is to prevent the pro-foreign faction from falling, but also to prevent the two factions from having a very serious conflict. As long as the internal strife continues, it will inevitably shake your ruling foundation." Long then pondered for a long time. "I want to win over my allies," she finally concluded slowly, "strike my enemies. But I can't strive too hard, lest they take risks and engage in fierce confrontation with me." "That's right." Long said approvingly, "For the entire Beiming Fanning, once factional infighting occurs, it will inevitably cause serious damage to both sides. As a ruler, you need to make precise calculations to determine which conflict should be avoided as much as possible and which conflicts can be tolerated. The latter is more difficult than the former, because it is human nature to seek benefits and avoid harm. It is difficult for a ruler who does not have enough wisdom, decisiveness and courage to do it with ease. Then how to distinguish?" Long continued to think in confusion. Avoid as much as possible, can tolerate, what are the criteria for judging these two? This requires you to perform on the spot. Long said, "Generally speaking, it can be divided into these principles. As time goes by, the advantage will be more and more on my side, so I must try to avoid conflicts with the other side. On the contrary, if the disadvantage will become greater and greater, then we must create conflicts as soon as possible and not give the other side time to develop. Conflict itself will cause damage to my core interests, so I have to implement a war avoidance strategy and give in to protect myself. On the contrary, if the conflict damages my marginal interests but damages the other party's core interests, then I can appropriately provoke a conflict. For conflicts that are beneficial to me in the short term but may cause damage in the long term, the intensity and scale of such conflicts must be strictly controlled and they cannot be allowed to expand recklessly. For conflicts that are harmful to me in the short term but are indeed necessary in the long term, we need to simmer them over low heat to keep them at a certain temperature and constantly test the other party's boundaries and bottom line. Well, Long Yu silently listened to Long Long's extremely detailed teachings, and suddenly felt extremely subtle and uneasy in her heart. She always had a strange feeling, as if Long Long was explaining his affairs after his death. Of course, this feeling was completely unfounded. Long Long was a Jielong monk in the Dongyuan realm. He was very powerful. How could he suddenly fall? But girls are not reasonable after all. So when Long Long finished recounting his experience, he asked Long Yu if he understood. Long Yu then wrapped his tail around his calf, hugged his arms with both hands, and started to whack coquettishly. No. I don't understand what you mean by core interests and marginal interests. Say it again, please say it again. So Long Long patiently explained it to Long Yu in detail. But the more he talked, the more questions the little fox asked, and Long Long was so thirsty that he had to go outside to reorganize his thoughts under the pretext of drinking water. What about now? Just as Long Long was looking at the glacier in the distance on the stands, he heard Kunlin Jing suddenly ask, "Are you still insisting on leaving without saying goodbye?" Jin, what kind of question are you asking? Long Long smiled. Otherwise, can I still live in the East Empire realm forever and use your illusion to pretend to be with her? Kunlin Jing fell silent. After a long while, she finally said with difficulty, "Actually, it's not impossible. The East Empire realm is not like the world of cultivation. Once you seize the fragment of the sky repairing stone, the sect forces will notice the clues and even become enemies with you. Why must you leave Long Hu behind? She is so attached to and needs you, you understand, right?" "Of course I understand." Long Long sighed deeply and asked calmly, "Then what about the others?" "Jin, let me ask you. If after the sky repairing project is over, I have to stay in the East Empire realm as Long Long permanently to accompany Long Hu, what about junior sisters Yu, senior sister Am, Madame Luli, and Madame Jiang? Continue to use your time and space travel and mirror flowers and walk to moons to let me wander among them with different identities, and continue to conscientiously play the role of their senior brother, junior brother, and husband. I'm tired too, okay? I'm already tired at playing so many characters now, and you want me to continue playing these roles after patching up the sky? Are you some kind of devil capitalist who wants people to work for you for life?" Kunlin Jing was speechless. Although she didn't know what capitalist was, she instinctively guessed that it wasn't a good word. Plus, thinking that he really opened so many small accounts because he wanted to help her patch up the sky, she felt a little guilty. Chapter 934. Husband Hunting Drama, Scheduled. The Jielong clan is a rare race in the Eastern Empire realm that has the ability to conduct academic research. Of course, this is also due to the fact that Jielong has long been the king of the Eastern Empire realm. In an environment without the pressure of survival, some people will not regard improving the bloodline or rank as the only priority, but turn to the research of magical powers, spells and bloodliness, just like the Penglayu King Temple in the Three Pure Ones of the Orthodox religion, which has been hiding under the thigh of Kunlun Dakdi for many years, and has no worries about food and clothing, and began to tinker with various unconventional ways. The bloodline itself has the greatest impact on the cultivation of the demon clan. Therefore, the Jielong clan's research accumulation on various demon bloodliness is undoubtedly in the leading position in the entire Eastern Empire realm. Even if the imperial power was later lost, this position is unshakable. Long Long wandered in the book room of Beiming Fanning and found all kinds of strange research records, which reminded him of the secret base set up by the ancient Jielong in the underground cave in Namzhou. In addition to blood, the Jielong clan also conducted in-depth research and exploration of the entire world. They are one of the few demon clans that have recognized that this world is round sky and square earth. The so-called round refers to the curved surface, that is, the spherical sky barrier, which constitutes the outer shell of this world and isolates the chaotic galaxy from the outside. The so-called square refers to the plane, that is, in the spherical sky, there is a flat plate, which is the ground under the feet of all life. The Earth divides the spherical world into two parts. This side is the cultivation world, and the other side is the East Empire realm. The worlds on both sides are not equal in size. According to calculations, the volume of the cultivation world is about 2 to 3 times that of the East Empire realm, which means that the sky on the cultivation world side is much larger than that of the East Empire realm, and therefore suffers much greater pressure from the chaotic galaxy. No wonder the sky is repaired on the cultivation world side, not on the East Empire realm side. Long searched for information in the classics room, hoping to find that Geelong clan's record of repairing the sky. However, probably because the Eastern Empire realm was not directly facing the catastrophe of world destruction, the Geelong clan did not seem to care much about patching up the sky, and there were very few relevant records. You don't think that if the cultivation world is destroyed, the Eastern Empire realm will be able to remain unscathed, right? No way. Just as Long was concentrating on his research, Elder Long Yuan suddenly came to the door and interrupted his train of thought. Too ingenious. Long Yuan exclaimed, this secret method of connecting blood is really ingenious. Elder Long, let me tell you, this idea is simply brilliant. Resisting the urge to listen to Elder Long Yuan saying a lot of professional terms, Long finally couldn't stand it anymore and interrupted him. So, is there a way to resolve your highness's blood conflict? I have a brilliant idea. Long Yuan said excitedly, you can perfectly sew the 3 bloodliners together, so that your highness can practice both the dragon clan's skills and the fox's magical powers, and even perfectly transform into a human race. It can be said that it is a culmination of the 3 clans. Wait a minute. Long interrupted him again, what do you mean by brilliant idea? Let me tell you, your highness's safety cannot be compromised, and no experimental means are allowed to be used on her. It's not an experimental means. Long Yuan defended, it can ensure that there is 100% no danger. If you said you were 90% sure, I might still believe it. What does 100% mean? It sounds like you were overconfident. Nonsense. It's true. Long Yuan emphasized, the subtlety of my method lies in that it will not cause destructive changes to your highness's bloodliner itself, but simply uses secret methods to guide the bloodliner and make it blend. It's blending, not dissolving. What's the difference between blending and dissolving? Forget it. Long also began to have a headache. How to do it specifically? It requires the assistance of rituals, secret methods and elixirs. Long Yuan said solemnly, the details are all in this jade slip. Let me see. Long took the jade slip and just penetrated it with his spiritual sense to take a look. So many. This is just the first edition. Long Yuan replied, give me a few more days to optimize the theory in depth. Can it simplify the process? It can be supplemented to 300,000 words. Long Yuan said seriously, of course, the corresponding confidence will be greater. Didn't you say that there will be 100% no danger? The safety level is 100%. Long Yuan explained, but it only means that failure will not endanger your highness's body. Okay, then you go and arrange it first. Long waved his hand, letting Long Yuan continue to study the theory. On the other hand, he asked Su Mingjian in his heart, is this method feasible? Feasible, it should be feasible. Su Mingjian pondered for a moment and replied, there is nothing wrong with the theory itself. But I can't say how it will be applied in practice. As long as there is no problem with the theory. Long also secretly breathed a sigh of relief. In other words, Long Yuan did not have any ulterior motives, at least he was really designing a solution. Kumlinjin watched coldly and thought to himself, if this method is really as Long Yuan said, doesn't it mean that after completing the ritual, Long Hu has gained the ability to disguise as a human? No, it can't be considered a disguise. If the species is determined by blood, she has a quarter of human blood, not a complete demon. Then if Long leaves without saying goodbye again, and Long Hu happens to discover his true identity by accident, will she switch to the human identity and run thousands of miles to the cultivation world to find her husband? It will be interesting to meet other girls at the time. Hello, I'm looking for my husband, although I don't know his real name, he should look like this. Hey, why does he look so similar to my husband? But they should not be the same person. My husband's character is really 1 in a million, and others will never confuse him. Coincidentally, my husband is the same. Is there a possibility that everyone's husband is the same person? Thinking of this, Kumlinjin secretly suppressed her laughter. Where is Arjun? Seeing that she refused to speak for a long time, Long couldn't help but ask curiously, do you think there is a problem with this plan? No problem, no problem. Kumlin Jin quickly answered seriously. Have you seen this plan? Long Long narrowed his eyes suspiciously. I've taken a look. Kumlin Mirror quickly scanned it, and then said, I think it's feasible to use secret methods to maintain the blood of different species and make them blend together. You forgot. This Jialong clone of yours is the result of me using secret methods to blend the drop of blood given by Yinglong with your human blood. Oh, really? Long Long pondered. If that's the case, then this method is indeed worth a try. As long as the blood conflict problem in that dragon fox is solved, I can take away the fragment of the sky repairing stone with peace of mind. Chapter 935 3 Bloodliness, Successfully Fusion. After spending a long time in Beiming Fanyan, Elder Long Yuan finally completed the plan for blood fusion. With the triple guarantee of formation, elixir, and secret method, it is probably foolproof. Arjun and Suman Jian have seen the plan, there should be no problem. Next, it is just waiting for the formal fusion of blood. As Long Long gave orders, the entire Beiming Fanyan was quickly put under martial law. At the top of the glacier, Long Hu was sitting cross-legged, practicing the secret method, with a little sweat on her forehead. She had also taken off the pendant of the fragment of the sky-making stone and put it aside. With the end of the seal, the dragon blood in her body began to become active. The dragon blood is inherently fierce, and the stimulation of the alien blood makes her dragon blood all over her body begin to boil. Soon, sweat seeps out of her body, wetting her clothes. Long Long stood outside the formation expressionlessly, silently scanning Long Hu over and over again. Although the reaction of the dragon fox at this time was all as expected in the blood fusion plan, seeing the little fox showing such a painful expression still made Long Long feel a little distressed, and he wished he could take its place. Finally, with the stimulation and pressure of the fierce dragon blood, the blood of the sky fox and the human race began to activate. If the dragon blood is like a raging fire, then the blood of the sky fox is like the moonlight in the middle of the night in deep winter, cold and quiet. Compared with the two strange bloods of the demon race, the blood of the human race is neutral and peaceful, without any messy changes in nature, but just quietly flowing through the limbs and bones, resisting the burning dragon blood. The dragon fox suddenly opened her eyes. In her eye sockets, there was already a majestic golden vertical pupil. She lowered her head to look at her side, gently picked up a clean bottle from the floor, unscrewed the cork, and drank the liquid inside. The liquid inside, called Only Half 4, is a potent poison from the feather clan of Nanzhao, and is one of the few collections in the Beiming Fanyan. Once too much is ingested, even an ancestor of the immortal realm will be in danger of physical decay, but Long Yuan accurately calculated the dosage, and the concentration is probably only enough to poison ordinary monsters, so it will not kill the dragon fox itself. As the Only Half 4 fell into the stomach, the cold feeling quickly spread. The dragon fox felt as if his lower abdomen had suddenly lost consciousness, and then a faint pain that seemed to be their own not their attacked the sea of consciousness from the garden. Suddenly, the blood of the dragon, the blood of the sky fox, and the blood of the human race that was still entangled, all stopped fighting at the same time, and began to turn to the direction of the garden, working together to resist the erosion and attack of the Only Half 4. The reason is also very simple. Whether it is dragon blood, fox blood or human blood, it is ultimately part of the dragon fox's body. Although they are incompatible with each other, when the main body encounters a serious threat, it will still spontaneously activate the protection of the master. Otherwise, if the main body is occupied, what is the point of fighting? Dragon fox barely endured the pain and began to operate the secret method in the jade slip. Although this secret method has been improved by Elder Long Yuan, its core is still the secret method originally provided by Human Sword. When the Qin and Tian twin swords choose a master, they will host themselves in the body of the sword to warm it up, which is equivalent to the reverse version of the Shushan Sword Immortal's method of nurturing the sword with the body. In this process, the essence of the sword body is also integrated into the meridians of the sword master, which has the effect of improving the sword master's own bones. As for the fusion of the two bloodliness, it is almost impossible to do in the Eastern Empire realm, but for artifacts like the Qin and Tian twin swords, it is just a trivial matter. As Dragon Fox began to operate the secret method, although the three bloodliness were still clearly separated, under the pressure of the zany water, there were already signs of confluence. Of course, Long Long could see these scenes clearly through the scanning of the Kunlun mirror. So he asked Suming Jian thoughtfully, "Suming, is there such a possibility? In fact, you have known this secret method for a long time, which can help solve the blood conflict problem in Longhu. It's just that you pretended not to know this in order to laugh at me, causing Longhu and I to be displaced and running all the way for so many years." Master Sword Master, you misunderstood me. Sumin Jian said seriously, although I know this secret method, it is mainly to merge my spiritual power with Master Sword Master's bones, so that I can better serve Master Sword Master. As for solving other people's blood conflict problems, how could I think about that? After all, I'm just a sword, not a doctor who saves lives and heals the wounded. Of course, I can't think about can I cure when I see a patient. Really? Long Long said, holding his chin. Not thinking about that aspect is indeed a reason, but didn't you once take action to merge the human and sky fox bloodliness of the dragon fox mother during her fetal period and make them coexist? Master Sword Master has a really bad memory. Sumin Jian said seriously, I've already said that, I really didn't do that. As a human sword, how could I be in cahoots with a demon and help her stabilize the two bloodliness in the fetus? Then how could you, as a human sword, recognize our demon as your master? It's because I didn't know at the beginning. Sumin Jian argued, the entire human race didn't realize that she was a sky fox, so it's normal for me to be wrong, right? Besides, even the now famous three pure ones of the righteous way, didn't they regard Master Sword Master, the traitor, as the successor to the sect leader? Stop. Long Long interrupted it immediately and said, hey, look at the current situation of the dragon and fox, what is the probability of a successful fusion? I dare not say 100%. Sumin Jian said cautiously, it should be 99%. Kunlun Mirror also added, the compatibility of the dragon and sky fox bloodliness is very bad, one is extremely fierce and the other is extremely gentle, but with the buffer of the human bloodliner, it is not impossible for them to coexist. In addition, after being sealed by the Gutian stone for so many years, these three bloodliners are actually influencing each other imperceptibly, but the degree is not enough to overcome the conflict. As long as the secret method is operated properly, it is estimated that in 3 hours, the water of the poisonous feather can be discharged. Arjun said 3 hours, and it was indeed accurate to the minute. At about noon, the dragon fox finally slowly opened his eyes, brought the bottle to his mouth, and spit out a large mouthful of black venom. At this time, in Long Long's scanning field of view, the three different bloodliness in the dragon fox's body were like three different colors of silk threads, tightly entangled together, forming a unique three-color robe. Different bloodliness are still different bloodliness after all, and it is impossible for them to be perfectly soluble in each other like water and alcohol, but in this state of I have you, you have me, they will no longer conflict with each other. What's wrong, Fox? Seeing that the dragon fox had regained consciousness, Long Long hurriedly walked over, bent down and helped the dragon fox up. As for the pendant made of the fragments of the Gutian stone, he kicked it aside as if it had no value at all. Chapter 936 Leaving without saying goodbye. Your Highness's blood is very stable. A few days later, Long Yuan reported to Long Long, although the three bloods have not yet completely merged, the possibility of conflict is already very small. Very small, but not enough. Long Long immediately gave instructions, it must be foolproof. Do you understand? It must be foolproof. I understand. Long Yuan hesitated for a moment, and finally couldn't help asking, Elder Long Long, are we going to open Beiming Fanyan to the outside world next? Why? Long Long smiled, Elder Long Yuan, don't you support opening to the outside world? Elder Long Long, as the head of the clan, I'm in charge of the clan's material reserves, so I know that if we can't open it to the outside world, we will sooner or later read up the mountain. Long Yuan said seriously, but if we rush to open it to the outside world, if someone finds out and finds us, it will be a disaster for Beiming Fanyan. Yes, so we still have to act prudently. Long Long replied calmly. Although Long Yuan didn't explain, Long Long had guessed the meaning of his words. It was nothing more than trying to test what the dragon fox behind him was planning. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that although Long Long was the actual ruler at present, Long Long was cultivating Dragon Fox with all his strength, and the future Beiming Fanyan would still be managed by Dragon Fox. Long Yuan was most worried that Dragon Fox would come up and clamor for opening up, and then be hit hard by the strong resistance inside Beiming Fanyan, and be dizzy and unable to control himself, and then insist on seclusion and self-defense without wavering, and then Beiming Fanyan would be finished. From what Long Long said, it seemed that he had no intention of radical opening up, so he could rest assured. Elder Long Yuan had just left, and Elder Long Qi came over again. I heard that Beiming Fanyan will be opened up soon. The middle-aged cultivator asked directly in person. Elder Long Qi, where did you hear the news from? Long Long asked with interest. Everyone has been saying this lately. Long Qi said very straightforwardly, if Beiming Fanyan is opened immediately, is Elder Long Long sure that we will not be coveted by hostile families? No. Long Long said very bluntly. Then why does Elder Longkey believe that Beiming Fanyan will be open to the outside world soon? Long Long suddenly frowned and said in a stern voice, what crime should be committed for spreading rumors privately and making irresponsible comments on current affairs? Elder Longkey was sweating profusely, and he stammered to try to explain something, but his words were incoherent. What crime should be committed? Beiming Fanyan did not prohibit the tribesmen from discussing current affairs before. Just when Elder Longkey was racking his brains, Long Long relaxed his expression and said kindly, however, Elder Longkey is not the main culprit in spreading the rumors. He just heard back rumors in the tribe and came to tell me. Yes, that's right. Longkey responded quickly, I just found that the tribesmen were a little panicked, so I hurried over to remind your highness. Elder Longkey is loyal, Long Long said approvingly. Well, who is spreading these rumors among us? Let Elder Longkey find out. Longkey. He did know that several of his men were discussing this matter, but, got it. He said rather depressedly, I'll find out. Long Long stared at Elder Longkey's departing back and pondered in his heart. If Longkey really tried his best to catch all the rumor spreaders, then his prestige in the hearts of radicals and even the people would inevitably be damaged, and it would also prove that this elder was a person who could be influenced and controlled through authority. But if he tried to protect his subordinates, it would mean that there was a possibility of gathering forces to oppose Longhu in the future, and before leaving the East Empire realm, he would need to completely eliminate these unstable factors for her. After a few days, Longkey really behaved honestly. He sent all the tribesmen who spread the rumors here. These Jialong tribesmen stood there in fear, fearing that they would be executed soon, but in the end they only received a gentle warning from Longhu, and they couldn't help but burst into tears of gratitude. So you want me to come to the market? Longhu asked after these tribesmen left. Well, Long Long said, these key figures who spread rumors have a term in that field of public communication, called opinion mouthpieces. Fox, you have to know that although everyone has their own opinions, they are different from person to person. Some people have particularly large social networks, so once his opinions are spoken out, they will affect hundreds of tribesmen around him. It is impossible to control what everyone says. However, if you only want to control dozens of opinion mouthpieces, it will be relatively much simpler. When you have more contact with this, you will know that although public opinion cannot be completely manipulated, it can be interfered with and guided to make them deviate in the direction you want. From the top, it is to control the forces such as radicals and conservatives, and from the bottom, it is to control enough opinion mouthpieces. Comparing Beiming Fanyan to an individual, the former is the brain and the latter is the mouth. The brain makes decisions and the mouth speaks, so a consensus will be reached from top to bottom. This is your main way to control the entire Beiming Fanyan through your own strength. Long, you suddenly whispered. What's wrong? Why do you have to explain it in such detail? Longhu looked at him eagerly. What do you mean? Long forced a smile. Isn't it good to teach you these useful knowledge? That's not what I meant. Longhu shook his head vigorously. I mean, in the future, Long will stay by my side and help me govern Beiming Fanyan, right? Maybe it's an illusion, but I always feel that Long you seem to be leaving, and before you leave, you want to tell me everything I need to know. Long stared at her in a daze, and his hands in his sleeves slowly tightened the Gucci and she pendant. It's a bit silly to say that. Longhu smiled embarrassedly. I'm just a little worried. Am I overthinking? As she spoke, she gradually couldn't say any more. Because Long didn't deny it. In Longhu's expectation, Long should come and hug her immediately, scratch her nose affectionately, and then say, Fox, you little fool, how could I leave you? Then she could bite his hand, or whip him with her tail. Who told him to be so bad and let her misunderstand? But, Long just stared at her blankly, which made Longhu suddenly understand something. Some kind of unwillingness to believe, with the pain of suffocation and drowning, emerged from her heart irresistibly. Long. Longhu opened her eyes wide, looked at Long nervously, and her voice trembled slightly. Long still did not answer, but shouted in his heart. Jin, reload the file. But, Jin was also a little hesitant. Hurry up and reload the file. Long shouted. Then, Long's figure suddenly disappeared in front of Longhu. He disappeared completely. It was stuck for a long time because I was considering whether to write how sad the little fox was after Long left. I always feel that it goes against the purpose of a cool article, but it can elevate the emotions. Chapter 937 You'll be fine. Kumlan Tai King Sect. Kyo Chang opened his eyes and was in a daze for a long time. Then, Long of the Eastern Empire realm, The mission is over, he said to himself in his heart. Hey! Come, the mirror suddenly said, is it really over? Shut up, you broken mirror. Kyo Chang-Time immediately said unhappily, I'm immersed in sadness and guilt, don't ruin the atmosphere for me. So come, the mirror stopped talking. Kyo Chang-Time sighed, shook his clothes off the stone bed, left the cave, and looked at the endless, snow-capped mountains. His mood also plummeted. Although he had done enough psychological preparation in advance, when he really had to leave the little fox, he still felt a heart-wrenching feeling. People are not plants, how can they be heartless? As the countless years that Long and Long Hu have been together, it is not something that can be erased with a sentence, I'm sorry, I just came for the fragments of the sky-making stone. Kyo Chang-Time stared into the distance, speechless for a long time, feeling that his heart was in a mess. It is the sorrow of separation that cannot be cut or sorted out. Kum Lin-jing looked at him silently, then turned around and asked Su Ming-jian, do you think he is really sad? Don't you know? Su Ming-jian asked in surprise. I think he is really sad. Kum Lin-jing said to himself, if he is not affected by any emotions, he will definitely make this departure very beautiful, so that Long Hu will not notice it at all. For example, pretending to die or something. Although Long Hu will be more sad, at least she will completely stop thinking about him, and the future troubles will be completely eliminated. Instead of leaving without saying goodbye like this, although Long Hu will be sad for a while, at least she will have some thoughts about him and will not be too desperate. The price is that Long Hu will not give up looking for him, and there may be variables in the future. Jin, you said the opposite, right? Su Ming-jian said in surprise, if he really loves Long Hu, shouldn't it be more reasonable to just fake his death to stop her from thinking about him? Isn't it more excessive to keep her hanging like this? You don't understand. Kum Lin-jing shook his head and said, the so-called knowing that it is more reasonable to do this, but as long as you think of the other person crying, you still can't do it. This kind of feeling that cannot maintain rationality is true love. What you said, Su Ming-jian thought about it, and it seemed that he could not refute it. If a cunning old man like the Sword Master really wants to leave, he will definitely cut off all the other party's thoughts and not give any hope. Otherwise, what if the Dragon Fox goes crazy and searches the Donghuan realm for Long Ying but can't find her, and runs to the cultivation world to look for her husband? It can only be said that the true feelings are exposed, and the ugly side is revealed. It laughed secretly in its heart and said, indeed, the Sword Master must have fallen in love with the Dragon Fox. He really can't bear to continue to hurt the Dragon Fox, so he can only leave. Out of sight, out of mind, pretend that he knows nothing. Alas! Kum Lin Mirror also blamed himself and said, it's all my fault. If I hadn't asked him to find that fragment of the Butian stone, this relationship wouldn't have been involved. Maybe not. Su Ming-jian thought to himself. At the beginning, the mother of the Dragon Fox only asked Long to take the Dragon Fox to Beiming Fanyan to solve the blood conflict problem in her body, but she didn't say that he and the Dragon Fox should fall in love. As for the matter of falling in love over time, Long Hu doesn't know your identity, and it's fine that the little girl is naive and ignorant. As a spy, how can you be sincere to the other party? Alas, there is nothing we can do about it. Although it disagrees in its heart, it agrees with Kum Lin Mirror, but then again, at least such a sword master won't make us completely disappointed in him, right? If he is really the kind of person who is ruthless and unscrupulous in order to achieve his goals, he is not worthy of me recognizing him as the sword master. Well, Kum Lin Mirror was still sighing, but after Su Ming-jian's roundabout comfort, his mood was finally much better. But Kyo Chang-Time didn't have this benefit, so he just stared blankly into the distance, like Jia Ba-doi without Lin Daiyu. Suddenly, Zhu Ying came from a distance on a sword. Seeing Kyo Chang-Time in a daze, he couldn't help but feel curious, so he landed and joked. Brother, how can you still enter a state of meditation while standing? It's okay. Kyo Chang-Time quickly regained consciousness and showed a flawless smile. I just thought about people have joys and sorrows, separations and reunions. The moon has phases, so I feel a little sad. Junior sister, why are there always so many things in this world that are difficult to accomplish? Zhu Ying seemed to be thinking about it, and after a moment he said, there are 50 heavenly ways, and even one is missing. How can people force perfection? Even me in the past, who was always thinking about surpassing senior brother, now I have suddenly realized. If I always use senior brother as a benchmark and insist on surpassing senior brother, wouldn't I be like the shadow behind senior brother? I am who I am, and I will not be anyone's vassal. Zhu Ying said with a smile, what's the problem if I can't surpass senior brother? Would Zhu Ying not be Zhu Ying? Such a simple truth, even I can think it through. Why would you be confused? Things that cannot be forced, let go. In fact, that's the case. Yes. Qiu Changtian was silent for a long time, and sighed. Junior sister is right, this time I have learned a lesson. After Zhu Yingyan's comfort, Qiu Changtian's haze and depression finally went away a little. Dragon Fox is Dragon Fox, even if I, Long, am not around. Is she not Dragon Fox? I believe that she will be fine in the days without me. Qiu Changtian comforted himself in this way, but Kunlin Jing was almost furious. I thought you would be depressed for a long time, and I was worried about your mental state. What do you mean by comforting yourself? Zhu Yingyan is not comforting you. She doesn't know what you are sad about. If she knows, she will burn you with her own hands. You deliberately misinterpreted her meaning and regarded her feelings as comfort to you. The more Kunlun Mirror thought about it, the angrier he became. He simply felt sorry for Longhu. What does Longhu is Longhu? She will be fine even without me around mean? Do you know what her situation is now? Su Ming, I'm going to go first. Kunlun Mirror instructed Su Mingjian, if this guy asks, just say, forget it. You don't have to say anything, just pretend to be dead, so that you will think I'm pretending to be dead too. Sure. Su Mingjian said indifferently, where are you going? I want to see if Longhu is really fine now. The hateful Kunlun Mirror gritted his teeth and said, if Longhu keeps crying, I'll come back and slap him in the face. The hateful Kunlun Mirror, the indignant Kunlun Mirror, drew his sword to help Kunlun Mirror. It's his own fault. Kunlun Mirror. Chapter 938 Loyalty. Because the time points brought by the file loading were inconsistent, after Kunlun Mirror was transferred to the East Empire realm, she patiently hid for the time being. After Long was transferred away, she quietly went to check. After a few days, Beiming Fanyan was in chaos. It was not only because Elder Long suddenly disappeared, but also because the nominal ruler, His Highness Longhu, had locked himself in the house and stayed indoors for several days. If Longhu had not answered a few times when everyone knocked on the door, everyone would really think that some assassin had sneaked into Beiming Fanyan and secretly assassinated the two. But listening to Longhu's voice and tone, it was obviously a bit wrong, as if he had suffered a great injury and was very weak. The elders discussed outside for a long time, but still could not discuss any results. Elder Long Yuan thought that they should go in and take a look. In case His Highness Longhu was injured, it must not be because of the problem with the blood fusion plan I designed, at least he could be treated in time. Elder Longqi was worried that if they entered without the permission of His Highness Longhu, they might be punished. Could it be that Elder and Long deliberately hit a fish and test our loyalty? The elders quarreled and finally left unhappily. Kunlun Mirror quickly teleported into the room and saw Longhu sitting on the bed blankly, hugging her legs, with her tail hanging beside her. Her eyes were dull and turbid, and she would move for a long time, and then slowly stagnated. This pitiful and desperate look made Kunlun Mirror feel extremely guilty. Although the guy was also depressed at first, he soon regained the courage to continue living under the comfort of junior sister Zhu. But what about Longhu? She has no relatives in Beiming Fanyan, and no acquaintances. You have junior sister Zhu, senior sister Am, Miss Shi and Witch Jiang, but what about her? She has only you from beginning to end, and now, even what she has is about to be lost. Kunlun Mirror was silent for a long time and decided that he couldn't just stand by and watch. The two of them have come to this point today, and the guy cannot be blamed entirely. I, who proposed to get the heaven repairing stone, am also one of the culprits. In this case, I should take responsibility instead of watching the victim slowly wither and die there. I will make up for the mistakes he made. Kunlun Mirror silently activated the Mirror Flower Water Moon art again. This illusion has its own mental suggestion. For example, if the guy is wearing the Lindlong persona, then all the demon cultivators around him will be influenced by the suggestion when they look at him, and subconsciously think that he is a dragon. Even if there are many things in his words and deeds that are not very similar to the dragon race, they will be ignored by these cultivators. At this time, what Kunlun Mirror is doing is to eliminate the influence of the Mirror Flower Water Moon art on Longhu, and then use the same suggestion method to let her slowly recall the wrong things about Lindlong until she finds out his human identity. Since he is a human, then the biggest possibility of disappearing for no reason is naturally to return to the world of cultivation. Of course, doing so is equivalent to dismantling Chen Yonzu's stage. After all, given the deep affection of Dragon Fox, if she really knew that Long was actually a human, she would definitely try to find him in the world of cultivation. However, eliminating the accumulated influence of illusions cannot be done overnight, and it will take some time to take effect completely. When Dragon Fox realizes Long Long's human identity and guesses that he has returned to the world of cultivation, he will start to cross the gate of the sky, but the gate is blocked by the Sun True Fire of the Sun True Sword, and ordinary demons cannot pass through. Of course, Dragon Fox can try to recognize the Sun Sword Master and get the rite of passage by virtue of his granddaughter, but this also takes time. When Dragon Fox arrives in the world of cultivation, it will take another period of time to hide her identity and start looking for her husband. With so much time accumulated, that guy is estimated to have already found all the fragments of the sky repairing stone and filled the sky leak. If it is too late by then, I will naturally help him continue to cover it up with illusions so as not to affect the plan of repairing the sky. But if the sky has been repaired, it is just right for husband and wife to recognize each other. Without the burden of the sky repairing plan, Yeonju can also meet Longhu with his true face. The two of them no longer need to hide, miss each other, and torture themselves. Alas, I have really paid a lot for the relationship between these two people. Thinking of this, Kunlun Mirror finally relieved itself, and began to guide the removal of the illusion suggestion. As she quietly operated, Longhu, who was sitting on the bed, suddenly shed tears. The bits and pieces of her past with Long Long, countless memories, began to replay in her mind. Every picture seemed to knock on her fragile heart. Until the soft sobs turned into uncontrollable sobs and crying, Kunlun Mirror silently transmitted back to the world of cultivation with an unbearable emotion. The memory has begun to operate. But this time the memory is the real memory after removing the influence of the illusion suggestion. In order to prevent Longhu from not noticing, Kunlun Mirror also added a little extra hint in it, so that she would gradually think in the direction of Long Long seems to be a human, which is exactly the opposite of the past hint that Long Long is a dragon. She did not leave her name, because doing good deeds does not require the other party to be grateful. Even if Long Long and Longhu don't know that she is the one who is pulling the strings behind the scenes, as long as the two can finally reconcile and be happy, this is enough for me. The self-satisfied Kunlun Mirror teleported back to Kunlun Mountain, and saw Qiu Changtai and Zhu Yingyan standing side by side, looking at the snowy scenery in the distance. Compared with the lonely Longhu in the East Empire realm, Kunlun Mirror suddenly became angry again. However, thinking of the scene of Longhu coming all the way to find her husband, she quickly calmed down her anger and calmly returned to Qiu Changtai's sea of consciousness. "Did you get it done?" Su Mingjian asked. "Yes." Kunlun Mirror replied. "Tell her everything." Su Mingjian continued to ask, "Then what is her reaction? Is she sharpening her knife?" Kunlun Mirror was stunned for a long time before realizing that what Su Mingjian asked was, "Did you tell Longhu about the existence of the other girls?" "What's there to say about that?" she said in a veiled manner. "When she comes to the world of cultivation to look for her husband, she will naturally find something boring." Su Mingjian complained, "I want to see rivers of blood." "Why should there be rivers of blood?" Kunlun Jin frowned and said, "No one knows about this. Why should we kill each other over such things? Then let the sword master shed rivers of blood." Su Mingjian said with a smile, "It doesn't matter, I will help him keep his life." "You are really loyal. Thank you." Chapter 939 Qiu Changtai trains his apprentice. Kunlun Tai King Sect. The sect enthusiasm brought by first-class immortal infant, Elder Chan Zheng has now begun to slowly ebb. Most of the Kunlun monks have re-entered the step-by-step practice rhythm. Qiu Changtai is no exception. It's just that because he was promoted to the Yuning Elder, he accepted 4 more disciples. Therefore, in addition to daily practice, he has to teach 4 disciples according to their aptitude, but he is not unfamiliar with this matter. After all, Wei Dongliu has also been a master, right? Master. After Qiu Changtai finished his lecture that day, Luo Chuan was the first to lose his temper and said, "When can you teach us the 9 Heavens Pure Land Realm Mantra?" The 9 Heavens Pure Land Realm Mantra is the Kunlun secret immortal family key refining technique. It can only be studied by the disciples of the master. Qiu Changtai said slowly. "But you are the master's personal disciple." Luo Chuan tried to explain, "The master's personal disciple, isn't it the master's personal disciple?" "Who told you that the master's personal disciple is the master's personal disciple?" Qiu Changtai laughed. "Do you understand? Without the master's permission, I can't teach you this immortal key refining technique. In other words, as long as master goes to the master to get permission, he can teach us." Zhao Yunhu suddenly realized. Silent. As she said this unintentional remark as a matter of course, the cave immediately became silent. Qiu Changtai looked at the little girl with a headache, and didn't know how to explain it to her for a while. "First of all, can I apply to Master Ziwei?" Of course, and with the master's respect for him, it is likely that he will approve it. However, if this matter gets out, what will the Kunlun elders outside think? Yes, Elder Changzhen is indeed the designated successor to the headmaster, but he has not yet become the headmaster of Kunlun, but he has already started to treat his own disciples as if they were the headmaster's own disciples and give them special treatment. Isn't this a bit too ugly? The prince is the heir to the emperor, but the prince must not regard himself as such, let alone any transgression, otherwise it will be a way to death. To a certain extent, the successor to the headmaster is the same. Secondly, the above principles are not easy to tell Zhao Yunhu directly. How should the successor to the headmaster be? This can only be understood, not expressed in words. A qualified successor to the headmaster should not know that he has been selected as the headmaster just before officially succeeding the headmaster, and express his complete ignorance to conform to the virtue of humility and self-reflection of the orthodox monks. Therefore, Qiu Changtian said seriously, if everyone applies to the headmaster, how can this Nine Heavens Pure Land Realm mantra still be the immortal secret technique passed down by the headmaster? Don't mention this again. Don't mention this again, which means you can't say it again. But isn't the master the next headmaster? Zhao Yunhu really didn't understand, but in the spirit of breaking the casserole to get to the bottom of it, he asked again, since sooner or later you'll be the headmaster. Nonsense. Qiu Changtian slapped her on the forehead. What nonsense is this child talking about? I, the master, dare not dream of such a high position as the headmaster. If you talk nonsense again, I can only ask you to sweep bird droppings. It would have been better if she didn't say it. When he said this, the other three disciples all twitched their eyes and kept silent. What does I, the master, dare not dream mean? Now even the Taoist priests in the remote Taoist temples in the countryside know that the next Kunlun master must be Elder Changzhen, but he said that he dared not have any wild thoughts, which clearly fooled the audience as if they were fools. Unfortunately, the audience were all his disciples, so even if the master was talking nonsense here, they could only pretend not to hear it. But, Zhao Yunhu wanted to say something, but he saw Zhu Yingyan coming into the cave from outside. Junior sister. Qiu Changtian called her. How is the Crane Valley? The so-called Crane Valley was originally just an uninhabited valley nearby. Because Qiu Changtian and Zhu Yingyan moved to the cave, the cranes that were used to Zhu Yingyan feeding them actually followed them and occupied this valley as their nest, and then came to Zhu Yingyan every day to beg for food. Over time, a large amount of bird droppings accumulated in the valley. In addition, the cold climate prevented them from decomposing, so they looked colorful and ugly. When the monks passing by saw it, they went to Zhu Yingyan to talk about it. The valley was too close to the cave of Elder Changzhen. Although it did not produce a bad smell due to freezing, it still affected the appearance. Zhu Yingyan planned to burn it, but Qiu Changtian said to her, as long as the group of big birds don't leave, you will burn it once this year, and you will have to burn it again next year when it piles up. How long will it take to burn it? Why not ask a few outer disciples to come and clean it regularly, just as if they were practicing Taoism, and at most we will pay a little money. Zhu Yingyan thought about it and it was right. Monks should focus on their own Taoism, so why should they run around regularly for animals? Although cleaning up bird droppings is just a matter of a fire, it is not good to set a bad example for the disciples to do it yourself, so she went to the deacon hall to issue the task. The task has been issued. Zhu Yingyan replied, it's just cleaning up the bird droppings. I think there shouldn't be any problem with no one taking up the task. Let the outer disciples who have received the task wait first. Qiu Changtian said leisurely, Yunhu, this child needs to be tempered, let her go to the valley to train. She is not allowed to use Taoist magic, just use iron tools to scrape. Zhao Yunhu shuddered when he heard this, and the hair on her body stood up. If it was just cleaning up the bird droppings, she would not be afraid, but if she had to scrape it with a shovel like a mortal, she would inevitably get it all over her body, which would be too torturous. Zhu Yingyan also had mysophobia, and thought the same thing as Zhao Yunhu, and immediately frowned. Yunhu, why did you make your master angry again? Zhao Yunhu could only bow down to the ground honestly and tell details. Zhu Yingyan laughed and said, don't be fooled by your master's high position in the sect. In fact, he is also trembling with fear and treading on thin ice. In his early years, when he had not yet formed the elixir, he even encountered many dangers. She picked up the two things of encountering a demon cultivator in the foundation building stage in the mine and being plotted against by senior brother while looking for a secret realm. Although her tone was straightforward and extremely calm, the dangerous atmosphere at the time still made the disciples sweat. Even Zhu Jin, who was always calm and mature, couldn't help but be moved. So, do you understand? Zhu Yingyang concluded, but she looked at Luo Chuan and said, our Kunlun Tai King sect is not yet invincible and difficult to offend. Even if you are disciples of Elder Changzhen, you are far from being able to rest easy and do whatever you want. Be cautious in what you say and do, that's what you need to remember next. Disciple knows. Luo Chuan said with shame on his face, disciple dare not be too ambitious anymore. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 940. 7 Treasures Mysterious Garden, Skydome's Beating Heart. After becoming an elder at Kunlun, although the authority has become extremely heavy, it seems that there are fewer things to do every day. In addition to daily practice and training apprentices, there is a lot of free time to use, and the sect will not force all kinds of trivial chores. Of course, there has been no war in the cultivation world recently, and no ancient secret realm has been revealed, so the elders are relatively idle. They only gather once a month in Yuxu Palace to fulfill their obligations to participate in politics. Anyway, they just need to sleep during the whole process. The lifespan of the Yunning realm is generally more than 5,000 years, so everyone is basically slow, and it is normal to argue about one thing for several months. It is said that Kunlun Tai King sect is relatively good. After all, the head of Ziwei does not like to drag things out. Some small sects are exaggerated. The Yunning elders almost don't care about things, and once they intervene, they must be against something, then they can't carry it out, because no one wants to waste time persuading opponents. On this day, Qiu Changtian was called to Yuxu Palace for a meeting again. Arriving at the main hall, he saw that the lineup of elders attending this time was unexpectedly complete, and he knew that something must have happened. The big one is coming. Just as he was pondering, he heard the head of Ziwei suddenly say, clouds pass over the North Sea, and rain falls through the South Sea. The Black Evil is the central forbidden area, and the sky canopy descends to the Imperial camp. The spiritual official holds the Jade Seal, and she holds the Golden Banner. Changzhen, how do you think these verses in the Golden Palace secret realm should be interpreted? Qiu Changtian was stunned for a moment, then replied. And based on the connection between the previous secret realms, these verses should hint at the location of the 7 Treasures Mysterious Garden. Clouds pass over the North Sea, and rain falls through the South Sea. Since it is clouds and rain, it must be high above the sky. It passes over the North Sea in the morning and reaches the South Sea in the evening. In other words, this 7 Treasures Mysterious Garden is either a very large object, covering the entire territory of Shenzhou and part of the North Sea and South Sea at the same time, or it is an extremely fast object that can fly from the North Sea to the South Sea in an instant, so as to meet the requirement of rain falling in 2 places at the same time. Combined with the following, the Black Evil is the central forbidden area, and the sky canopy descends to the Imperial camp, I think it should be an extremely fast object. Otherwise, if it is as big as Shenzhou, the number of the Black Evil Central Forbidden Zone and the Heavenly Canopy Imperial Camp to guard the secret realm must be huge and boundless. In this case, how can it be difficult to be discovered? At this point, a Kunlun elder suddenly asked. Although it is reasonable to say that the Central Forbidden Zone and the Imperial Camp are both military guards, they don't necessarily have to fill the entire secret realm. Is there a possibility that the 7 Treasures Mysterious Garden itself is very large, but the core area inside is very small, so there doesn't need to be so many guards? If the core area is very small, why does the overall area have to be very large? Qiu Changtian asked back. The other party pondered and said nothing. But if it is an extremely fast object, it can explain why it has not been discovered. Qiu Changtian continued, let's take a step back. If there is no special reason, there is no need to make the secret realm so huge. Then where does Elder Changzhen think the 7 Treasures Mysterious Garden secret realm is? Another Kunlun elder asked. Since it is an extremely fast object, it means that it is patrolling the sky day and night, right? With the size of Shenzhou, if it flies from the North Sea to the South Sea in the morning, its speed must be so fast that it is impossible to catch it. How can we locate it? If there is no way to locate the 7 Treasures Mysterious Garden, let alone find a way to enter it. Let's not talk about this. Qiu Changtian paused for a moment and suddenly said, Elders, have you ever thought about what flies the fastest in the sky? Everyone looked at each other. Clouds. Wind. It can't be a bird. Of course the sky is the fastest. Ziwili sect master said suddenly. The sky rotates around the Shenzhou continent once, which is 1 day. If the Kaibao Chuan Yuan flies very fast, then why can it fly so fast? Qiu Chang Time echoed, birds have wings to flutter, and the wind has cold and hot pressure. If the Kaibao Chuan Yuan secret realm is hung on the sky, then it can be explained that it hangs in the North Sea in the morning and reaches the South Sea in the evening. The elders of Kunlun no longer had any doubts and were all amazed. To put it bluntly, although the cultivation civilization in this world is highly developed, it is precisely because various magic spells are too convenient that not many scientific thinking ideas have been developed. When everyone learns various magic spells and magical powers, most of them are will practice as the classics record it, and rarely think about why it is so. Why can the Kaibao Chuan Yuan secret realm fly? Because it is attached to the sky rotates and the secret realm rotates with it, regardless of whether it is actually the case. It sounds very reasonable. As for how to approach the sky, that is not something that a Yuning realm cultivator needs to consider. They have to go find an immortal. After the meeting, Ziwili sect leader called Qiu Chang Time to his side and asked, "Are you sure about what you just said?" "Not at all sure." Qiu Chang Time replied. "Yes." Ziwili sect leader nodded. If Qiu Chang Time patted his chest to guarantee it, but Kisun Immortal went up to see that he didn't, it would definitely affect his impression in the Immortal's mind. "It's just a guess, it doesn't matter, it's just a survey of the sky, it doesn't matter." When he brought Qiu Chang Time to the Tianmen Hall, Ziwili sect leader told Kisun Immortal about Qiu Chang Time's guess. "Is Chan Zheng sure?" Kisun Immortal's reaction was exactly the same as Ziwili sect leader expected. "I'm not sure at all," Qiu Chang Time replied. "It's just that the Seven Treasures mysterious garden is hanging high in the sky, so even if it's not hanging on the sky, we have to patrol the sky to find its traces." "Yes." Kisun Immortal nodded and said, "And other immortals often patrol the sky, but I have never seen this secret realm hanging on the sky." "But if the secret realm travels thousands of miles a day and moves with the rotation of the sky, can the immortals see it clearly?" Qiu Chang Time continued to ask. "Probably not." Kisun Immortal shook his head and said, "I can't catch up with the speed of the sky. Even the immortals admit that they can't catch up, so how fast is the speed of the sky?" Qiu Chang Time pondered for a moment and asked again, "How does the sky move?" "It's different throughout the year." Kisun Immortal replied, "Generally speaking, it rotates. The center of rotation is south in summer and north in winter. That is to say, at the center of rotation, the sky is equivalent to being stationary." Qiu Chang Time said quickly. Kisun Immortal and Ziwili sect master were both stunned. Although both of them are senior monks who have lived for a long time and have excellent arithmetic skills, they are completely unfamiliar with pure mathematical concepts such as linear velocity and angular velocity. At this time, after Qiu Chang Time's guidance, they immediately reacted. "If the Seven Treasures mysterious garden secret realm is stored on the inner wall of the sky dome," said Ziwili sect master in a deep voice, "will the moving speed be different throughout the year as the position of the vortex center changes? For example, on a certain day of the year, the location of the Seven Treasures mysterious garden is exactly the vortex center of the sky dome, so the monks from the lower world can enter. The rest of the time, it revolves around a vortex center, so it is impossible to find it and cannot enter. I'm taking a leave today, and there is only one update. The reason is that I was taken by the fox to visit relatives and friends, and I didn't get home until the evening. Sorry. Now I'm exhausted and sleepy, and I can't write anymore." Chapter 941. The Northern Sky Pillar. The rotation of the celestial sphere is a very complicated process. Generally speaking, it rotates at a regular speed around a certain spinning center, but the position of the spinning center is constantly changing. In addition, the speed of rotation is too fast, so it is difficult to calculate in advance to determine the direction, and it can only be found along the direction of rotation. The three people, Kisun Qianren, Ziwili Master, and Qiu Chang Time, soared up to the sky with their swords. As the altitude gradually climbed, the strong wind became more and more fierce and difficult to resist, and the magic sound of the demon gradually became clearer. Ziwili Master and Kisun Qianren have profound skills and are naturally not afraid. Qiu Chang Time, on the other hand, has a clear mind and directly ignores the harassment of the magic sound of the demon, but just thinks it is very noisy. He has just ascended to the 9th heaven and has little experience, so he was shaken by the strong wind at first, but soon he mastered the law of the wind, and the sword body gradually stabilized. continuing to rise in altitude. As the sea of clouds got farther and farther away from his feet, Qiu Changtime gradually saw that the sky above his head was gradually changing from the blue ocean color to the colorful color of the glass cover. This is the sky, a barrier that protects the world of cultivation from the Chaos River, the many stars, and the invasion of the demons from outer space. After approaching the sky, Qiu Changtime discovered that the sky was not colorful, but colorless. But there were countless dense tadpole characters on it, moving quickly and uniformly in a certain direction. The different angles brought about changes in the refraction of light, and the rooms in different positions had different colors, emitting dazzling and brilliant light as the sky rotated at high speed. They moved so fast that it was impossible to see the specific lines of each tadpole character. All you could see were countless torrents of constantly changing colors, rushing straight and neatly in a certain direction. All immortal seals will rotate around the center of the vortex. Qisun Shanran stroked his beard and said, "Therefore, we only need to go south perpendicular to the direction of the movement of the immortal seal to find the center of the vortex." The three continued to fly south, and finally arrived at the location of the center of the vortex somewhere above the South China Sea. The closer to the center of the vortex, the slower the tadpole rooms moved, until they were close to the 3 layers of rooms around the center of the vortex, and the speed was slow enough to be clearly identified. As for the center of the vortex, there was nothing strange about it. It was just wrapped in a circle of the slowest rotating tadpole runes, and it was moving quickly to the west. In spring and summer, the center of the vortex moves from north to south. In autumn and winter, the center of the vortex moves from south to north. Qisun Shanran continued. Around noon, the center of the vortex moves from east to west. Around midnight, the center of the vortex moves from west to east. So the center of the vortex is in simple harmonic motion with the north-south direction as the long period. Qiu Changtime thought to himself. Even the vortex of the sky itself moves as fast as lightning. The immortal Qisun concluded, if the entrance to the secret realm of the 7 treasures mysterious garden is really attached to a certain position in the celestial sphere, then its movement speed must be beyond imagination. There must be other ways to locate the 7 treasures mysterious garden. The head teacher Ziwei tried to smooth things over. Changzhen, just think and guess. The immortal and the teacher will help you verify it. Let me just think and guess, so your brains have all degenerated? Qiu Changtime complained for a moment, and had to continue thinking. In his opinion, the 7 treasures mysterious garden should be in the sky, and the reason is also very simple. The Baiyusheng secret realm is in the deep mountains, and the Wangjingke secret realm is in the sky. If we continue to increase the altitude, the 7 treasures mysterious garden will be at the barrier of the sky, and there is a trace to follow from the law. Continuing to analyze from the entrance of the secret realm, the entrance of the Baiyusheng secret realm is in Tianmun Mountain, and the entrance of the Wangjingke secret realm is in Shiwa Mountain, so the entrance of the 7 treasures mysterious garden should also be in a certain mountain. However, this conclusion obviously conflicts with the previous one. Where are the mountains at the height of the sky barrier? Hey, wait, Qiu Changtime suddenly realized something and asked. I heard that there was a so-called sky pillar in ancient times. Is it true? The sky pillar here, of course, does not refer to the Kunlun sky pillar, but to the 3 large pillars that are said to connect Shenzhou and the sky. Since the sky is a big ball and Shenzhou was a flat plate inside the ball, it is only by connecting these 3 pillars that the Shenzhou continent is completely fixed in the sky ball, or more accurately, it is suspended under the sky. Later, a pillar in the east broke, causing Shenzhou to sink eastward as a whole, so all the rivers in Shenzhou flow roughly from west to east. Yes. Qisun Immortal replied, there are 2 remaining sky pillars, one in the far west and one in the far north. Can you take me to the sky pillar in the far north to see it? Qiu Changtime asked. Qisun Immortal said it was okay, so the 3 of them quickly turned north again. Crossing layers of ice fields and the vast North Sea, just when Qiu Changtime was complaining in his heart that the North Sea was too cold in both the cultivation world and the Donghuan world, he suddenly saw a huge outline vaguely emerging in the white ice fog in front of him. That was the Tianzhu located at the extreme north. Unlike the Kunlun Tianzhu, which is a mountain with an exaggerated name, this northern Tianzhu is actually a big pillar. The diameter of the pillar is extremely exaggerated, and it is impossible to tell what material it is made of. The color is dark gray and it stands upright between heaven and earth. Qiu Changtime followed Ziwei Master and Qisun Immortal to the edge where the Tianzhu and the sky dome are connected. I saw the tadpole text flowing on the celestial sphere, and it began to flow from both sides of the connection between the Tianzhu and the sky dome, bypassing the Tianzhu itself. and near the connection, there was another strange text. They looked like the same style as the tadpole text, but they neither flowed nor glowed. They were engraved near the top of the Tianzu, and no one knew what they meant, and what role they played in connecting the Tianzu to the sky dome. A Jing. Qiu Changtai asked in a low voice, "Can you understand the meaning of these tadpole characters?" "I don't know." Kumlin Jing said bluntly, "I can't do anything about things that involve the origin of the world." "This is the far north sky pillar." Kisun Immortal said, "Chang Zhen, do you have any ideas?" Qiu Changtai stared at the sky pillar and suddenly said, "There are 3 sky pillars. One in the north, one in the southwest, and one in the southeast. The southeast sky pillar has collapsed, so only the north and southwest are left. And the center of the sky roughly moves back and forth from north to south. In other words, the center of the sky may coincide with the northern sky pillar, but not with the southwestern sky pillar. Is that right?" "Generally speaking," Kisun Immortal said, "although the center of the sky also moves back and forth from east to west every day, the moving distance is not that large, and it will not be as far away as the southwest sky pillar. If the 7 Treasures Mysterious Garden Secret Realm is really attached somewhere on the sky barrier and moves rapidly with the rotation of the celestial sphere," Qiu Changtai said slowly, "and the secret realm itself has to design a method for cultivators to enter, then it must be when the secret realm is closest to the center of the rotation. Looking at other secret realms in the past, the Baiyusheng secret realm was opened in Tianmu Mountain, and the Wangjingke secret realm was opened in Shua Mountain. Then, would the 7 Treasures Mysterious Garden secret realm be opened on this extreme north sky pillar? If the extreme north sky pillar is regarded as a kind of mountain, it is also reasonable. When the center of the sky reaches the position of the extreme north sky pillar, perhaps we can find some clues from it. Now there is too little evidence to infer, and the younger generation can only guess randomly, which makes Master and the Immortal laugh. It doesn't matter. The Red Pine Immortal waved his hand and said, "The center of the sky will reach the extreme north, and we have to wait until the winter solstice. There are no other clues, so we will wait until the winter solstice to come here and do a little verification." Chapter 942 Golden Stream. Time flies, like a white horse passing by, and it is gone in a flash. It is winter again. To be honest, in a snow mountain area like the Kumlin Mountains, it is no exaggeration to say that 4 seasons are like winter, so no one has any perception. One day, Ziwili sect master called Qiu Changtai to Yuxu Palace again, and as soon as they met, he said concisely, "There is a discovery over there in the extreme north sky pillar." "Oh?" Qiu Changtai asked in surprise, "Did the Immortal arrange people to stay there for observation?" "It was arranged by the master," Ziwili sect master said. "After all, your analysis that day was well reasoned, and the master was afraid of missing any opportunity, so he called one of your senior brothers to watch over there." Qiu Changtai sneered in his heart. "It makes sense, but there is no basis for it. It is just a guess. It is unlucky that the senior brother was sent to the bitter cold place in the extreme north because of his words. Just recently, your senior brother sent a message on his flying sword, saying that he saw a stream of light flying along the sky, which disappeared suddenly, but it happens once a day. It's hard to say whether it is related to Kaibaho Chuan Yuan." Qiu Changtai said cautiously, "We still have to confirm it before reporting to the Immortal." "Not bad," Ziwili sect master said approvingly. "When there are no clues, of course you can put forward various assumptions, because the Immortal knows that you're just guessing, so you won't take it too seriously. But if you find a suspected possible clue and you go to verify it, but the Immortal finds that it is not Kaibaho Chuan Yuan at all, disappointment is inevitable, so you still have to avoid this kind of thing." So the two left the Kumlin Mountains again, flew north on their swords to Tianzu, and saw a Kumlin monk coming to meet them. "Master." The other party was once a direct disciple of Master Ziwia, and now he has reached the nascent soul stage, so he calls him Master instead of Master. "It's that location. Appear at 15 o'clock every day." Qiu Changtai looked at the time, and then confirmed the range according to the location indicated by this senior brother, and then waited patiently. Not long after 15 o'clock, a golden stream of light flashed quickly along the Xianzhu River on the sky barrier, as fast as a startled wild goose, as fast as lightning, and disappeared from everyone's sight in the blink of an eye. So the head of Ziwili sect immediately became serious and asked, "It happens every day?" "It happens every day." The senior brother replied, "It was originally supposed to appear at 2:15 p.m., but now it has been advanced to 1:15 p.m. Chang Zheng. The head of Ziwili sect pondered for a long time and asked leisurely, "What do you think?" Qiu Chang's asked the Kunlun mirror. How is it? Is the scan clear? Clear. The Kunlun mirror replied, it is a space entrance, the same type as the moral light in the sky above the St. Peak of Ulung Island. There must be a secret realm hidden inside. As for what the secret realm is, it's hard to say. Well, Qiu Chang's said to the head of Ziwili sect, the time of appearance is advanced, actually close to noon. Recently, I have also studied some information about the vortex point of the sky in my spare time. The position of the vortex point of the sky oscillates back and forth from east to west every day, and moves back and forth from north to south every year. The closer to the extreme south or north, the narrower the amplitude of the east-west oscillation. That is to say, as the swirled point of the sky approaches the extreme north, the swirled point and the nearby sky area will gradually slow down to a recognizable level. By then, we can carefully explore what the golden streamer is. He still left some room for his word here. He did not say that the golden streamer must be the Seven Treasures mysterious garden, but just said explore it. The head of Ziwili sect was silent for a long time, but said, I will go and invite the immortal. The golden streamer can stick to the sky barrier. Even if it is not the legendary Seven Treasures mysterious garden, it must be something extremely rare and can only be obtained by the immortal. About half a day later, the immortal Kisun also arrived here. Golden streamer? As soon as he landed, he asked Qiu Chang's. Yes. Qiu Chang's described the appearance of the streamer in detail, and his senior brother looked at him enviously. It sounds like a space rift. Kisun Immortal said thoughtfully, gather here at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Although he was waiting for 5 p.m. tomorrow, Kisun Immortal did not stop. He flew to the place close to the sky barrier according to Qiu Chang's instructions. He waved his long sleeves, made some arrangements, and cast many talismans and magic weapons. No one knew what he was doing. The next afternoon, at 5 p.m., everyone stared with wide eyes. Soon, the golden light arrived as expected, flashing out with the rotation of the sky, and was about to disappear in front of everyone. Kisun Immortal's robe sleeves waved, and he shouted in a low voice, reaching out to grab the golden light. Countless talismans appeared in the air around him, causing the golden light to suddenly stagnate. The next second, the light suddenly became intense, and all the rooms exploded, and the golden light disappeared again in front of everyone. Qiu Chang's. The rest of the people. Kisun Immortal's face did not show much regret. He just stood there silently, stroking his beard and thinking. After a long while, he suddenly said, Ziwili. Here. Ziwili sect master hurried forward. Arrange monks to guard here. Kisun Immortal said slowly, this golden stream of light is gradually approaching the northernmost pillar every day. When it connects with the pillar, it will be the day of the turning point. I need to communicate this matter with Changmei and Wang Xiang, so it must not be leaked in advance. Understood. Ziwili sect master said straightforwardly, there are only 4 people who know about this, and they are all here. Well. Kisun Immortal glanced at the senior brother, then looked at Qiu Chang's who stood with his hands behind his back, and smiled. This time it's all thanks to Chan Zhen's reasoning. After saying that, he turned into a stream of light and disappeared. Looking at Kisun Immortal's confident look, it seems that he has confirmed the existence of Kai Bahok Chuan Yuan. Otherwise, if he notified Shushan Penglai in advance, but it turned out that it was not Kai Bahok Chuan Yuan, wouldn't it be embarrassing? Qiu Chang's thought to himself, and heard the head of Ziwili sect say, Chang Zhen, Tongzhu, you two stay here and don't let outsiders get close. After that, the head of the sect turned into a stream of light and disappeared. Qiu Chang's smiled bitterly for a moment, and bowed to Elder Tongzhu, saying, It's me who is a burden to you, senior brother. It's okay. Elder Tongzhu also smiled and said, since the immortal attaches so much importance to this matter, he asked you and me to stay here next, so as to prevent someone in the sect from inquiring with us and leaking information. Of course. Qiu Chang's responded. I built a cave on the ice field below. Elder Tongzhu continued to smile, if you have time, you can come and chat for a while. Chapter 943 Chan Zhen, what do you think? Elder Tongzhu invited Qiu Chang's into the cave he had built in a simple manner, and then he flattered and fawned on him, obviously wanting to establish a good relationship with this future head of Kunlun in advance. Qiu Chang's was now very skilled in dealing with this kind of social interaction. After chatting with Elder Tongzhu for a few words, the atmosphere soon became lively. By the way, Elder Tongzhu said, the younger generation of my family has recently become your disciple. Please discipline me. Oh. Qiu Changtai asked in surprise. Yes, Luo Chuan. Elder Tongzhu said, the child is still my direct descendant. The so-called direct descendant is the son of a son of a son, extending through the paternal line. The relationship is closer than the collateral descendant, the direct descendant of a brother. After the other party said this, Qiu Changtai couldn't figure out whether the other party was trying to establish a friendship with him and asked him to take care of Luo Chuan, or whether he wanted to establish a friendship with him by taking advantage of Luo Chuan's master-disciple relationship. Maybe it was both. Anyway, there were so many people coming to curry favor with him, so he didn't care about having one more enter Tongzhu. After a few days, many nascent soul cultivators arrived here one after another. There were nascent soul cultivators from Kunlin, Shushan, and Penglai, and of course there were two other minor ones, Elder King Fen and Elder Jinun. Since Lim Yunpo appeared here, it meant that in the past year, the other side of him had found an opportunity to confront the Shan King Temple of Shushan and revealed his actual cultivation. Fortunately, now that the Kaibaho Chuan Yuan secret realm is approaching, Kunlun and Shushan will not continue to fight each other for the title of the first in the Orthodox religion. It is estimated that they plan to compete in the secret realm. The Immortal Kisan took Chanmei and Wangxiang and circled around the extreme north sky pillar, and naturally saw the golden streamer rotating around the sky pillar. As the radius and circumference of the circle decreased, although the golden streamer still rotated once a day, the speed had dropped to a point where the immortal could keep up. So, sure enough, probably right, the three immortals discussed with each other, flying around the pillar of heaven, circle after circle. Qiu Changtai stood outside the pillar of heaven, standing on that flying sword, and saw Zhu Yingyan also controlling the sword light, coming from afar. I heard that the Qin sword master of Shushan has also ascended to the nascent soul realm, she said when they met. Oh? Qiu Changtai was very calm. That's considered rapid progress. Seeing that Qiu Changtai was not panicked at all, Zhu Yingyan also sighed and said, it is said that the Shushan sword immortals are strong in actual combat. How come their cultivation is advanced so quickly? Even I, who practice key training based on the Nine Heavens King Wei entering the realm true words, don't have such an exaggerated speed. Who exactly is this King Feng? I remember that this person formed a pill, and it seemed that it was not long after my senior brother formed a pill. It's really weird. Qiu Changtai still had a faint smile on his face when he heard the first half of the sentence. When the second half of the sentence came out, he was immediately shocked and quickly changed the subject and said, let's not talk about that. How much do you know about the information of the Kaibaho Chuan Yuan secret realm now? Ah? Zhu Yingyan hesitated for a moment and asked in a low voice, can you tell me this? I thought Master didn't let you speak. Since you have guessed it, what's the point of me continuing to hide it? In order to divert her attention as soon as possible, Qiu Changtai had to drop the bombshell. Did you see the golden light above the sky? That is the entrance to the secret realm. The golden light revolves around a pillar of heaven, one circle a day, and as it gets closer to the pillar of heaven, its speed gets slower and slower. When it coincides with the pillar of heaven, it will probably be the day when the secret realm is opened. I see. Zhu Yingyan pondered and said, we are making such a big fuss and waiting here in advance. Won't we be discovered by the people at the demon cult? Who knows? Qiu Changtai said indifferently, even the former golden secret realm, with all kinds of defenses, was it discovered by the people at the demon cult? As long as there are too many people involved, it will be basically difficult to hide it from outsiders. It is better to send as many powerful cultivators as possible to compete for the position of the master of the Seven Treasures Chuan Yuan. Speaking of the Seven Treasures mysterious garden secret realm, in fact, the family has also checked some information. Seeing that her senior brother was frank with her, Zhu Yingyan also exchanged information. First, only infant-forming cultivators are allowed to participate in the competition. Second, just like the golden secret realm, the more cultivators enter the secret realm, the more difficult the test inside the secret realm will be. Therefore, in ancient times, the number of cultivators in the Seven Treasures mysterious garden secret realm was almost all occupied by major sects, so no one knew what was going on inside. Is that so? Qiu Changtai also pondered. In terms of continuity, the White Jade Capital secret realm tests combat level, the Golden secret realm tests wisdom and strategy, and the Seven Treasures mysterious garden secret realm tests similar things. Could it be the realm of cultivation? Zhu Yingyan pondered, or the firmness of the heart of Tao? If that's the case, it's simple. Qiu Changtai laughed. If it's the former, he has a first-grade immortal infant. If it's the latter, he has a clear heart of Tao. Anyway, there's no need to worry about any test. The two talked for a while, and suddenly heard a sudden noise in the distance. It seemed that someone was shouting who stipulated that this secret realm must be developed by the three pure ones, followed by extremely noisy and chaotic shouting. Soon, a Jin and Shenran came over and asked Qiu Chang's to come over as an elder to discuss matters. In the cave house that was temporarily opened near the extreme north Tianzhu, the elders of the three pure ones of the Orthodox Church gathered together and whispered to each other. Qiu Chang's listened for a while and realized that it was the old thief from the demon cult who was causing trouble again. Unlike the last time he broke into the Golden Secret Realm, this time the old thief called a large group of young casual cultivators over by some unknown means to negotiate with the Orthodox Church. Negotiation, it sounds ridiculous at first, but seeing the mighty lineup on the opposite side, the Orthodox Church couldn't laugh anymore. Some of the young cultivators on the opposite side were powerful people who practiced alone, and many were elders from small and medium-sized sects in various parts of Shenzhou, but without exception, they were all in the young realm. If a single person speaks out to protest, the Orthodox Church won't even bother to pay attention. Even if I open my mouth to explain to you, I will lose. But now there are too many people on the other side, which makes the Orthodox Church's three pure ones afraid to act rashly. If I ignore it, when the secret realm is opened, the other side will rush in collectively. Can I stop them by force? If I use force to stop them, it is inevitable that there will be casualties. In this way, the reputation of the Orthodox Church's three pure ones in the Shenzhou continent will be tarnished. For example, a single Yuning elder must be a powerful figure in his own sect. How many cultivators are related to him? Countless. Now that so many Yuning cultivators are added together, the corresponding relatives and friends almost cover the sects of the entire cultivation world. The Orthodox Church's three pure ones are not on the route of those who follow me prosper, those who oppose me perish. Of course, they're unwilling to offend so many sects for no reason. After listening for a while at the meeting, Qiu Chang's discovered that Penglai had already shown signs of retreating, and he suggested that everyone sit down at the negotiation table to talk it over. After all, most of these sects were Yuking Temple's business clients and financial sponsors, and it was difficult to offend them. Shushan, on the other hand, took a tough stance, claiming that it would make friends through martial arts with the demon sect and neutral cultivators, and hold a Yuning realm competition. Whoever wins will go to the secret realm. This was also a very Shushan sword immortal's way of thinking. Kunlun was wavering, with some elders agreeing with Penglai and some elders agreeing with Shushan. Everyone was waiting for Ziwi's sect leader to express his opinion. Ziwi's sect leader pondered for a moment, and Qiu Chang's immediately had a bad feeling. Sure enough, he heard the sect leader say, "Changzhen, what do you think about this?" Chapter 944 Qiu Chang's predicts Wei Dongliu Kunlun Tai King sect does not have the position of successor to the headmaster. In fact, neither the headmaster Ziwi nor the Immortal Cultivation has publicly announced to the whole sect that the next headmaster is Elder Changzhen. Why do everyone think that Qiu Chang's is the future successor to the headmaster? Of course, it is because of the countless times of Changzhen, what do you think, which has accumulated over time. As the eyes of the audience turned to Qiu Chang's, they only heard Qiu Chang's said lightly, "Whether you want to fight or negotiate, you have to listen to what the other side means. Does anyone know the specific requirements of the other side?" There was silence for a moment, and then a cultivator said, "From what Wei Motao said, we have to give up half of the quota." What a joke. Absurd. Who does he think he is? Various angry shouts rang out on the field, but soon they quieted down again, because Qiu Chang's had asked again, "What quota? Is there still a quota in the secret realm?" "I think it's about the quota of the 12 people. An elder reminded. "The secret realm will eventually select 12 winners, but this does not mean that we can only send 12 people." Qiu Chang's said leisurely, "The other side said that they would give up half of the quota, which probably means that we should agree in advance that the number of people sent by both sides into the secret realm must be equal. Otherwise, if we cannot reach a consensus, when the secret realm is open, they will rush into the secret realm by force, and we don't know how many people can enter by then." Everyone fell silent. Once it develops into a forced rush, and a large number of people rush in, the difficulty of the test in the secret realm will inevitably rise sharply, so that more people can be eliminated. Obviously, such a result is not good for both parties. Didn't the demon cult also rush into the Golden Palace secret realm last time? A Shushan Peak Master suddenly said, "It's just that last time, for the sake of secrecy, we sent out too few people, so we didn't stop them." Now our elites are gathered here. Even if they rush in, can they still break through our defense line? That's not what they said. A Penglai elder retorted, then there are many Union cultivators outside, who are elders from other sects. Could it be that Shushan wants to kill them all? There is no need to kill them all, just stop them. The Shushan Peak Master said. If you don't kill them all, how can you stop them? Do you expect to draw a line with a flying sword so that the other side will not dare to come? Seeing that they were about to quarrel again, Kyo Chang-time immediately interrupted and said, don't worry too much about this matter. This Shushan Senior, I have a question. If a Union cultivator activates the secret method of escape and rushes straight to the entrance of the secret realm, how will you intercept him? The Shushan Peak Master was speechless for a moment. According to her habit, if the opponent rushed over forcefully, she would just cut him down with one sword. Could the opponent be faster than the flying sword? However, apart from the simple and crude method of cutting him down with one sword, there seemed to be no other better method that would not hurt the opponent's life. There was silence on the Shu mountainside for a moment, and only the 7 killing sect leader Su Jian suddenly asked, I heard that Senior Wang Xiang has a magical power that can take people into the cave in his sleeve. I wonder if it can be used here to stop outsiders. Wang Xiang Immortal said angrily. How could I use such means to bully the weak? This is not a battle between good and evil, and most of the opponents are Union cultivators. It is not easy for us immortals to take action. Long May Immortal hurriedly said, but Penglai is proficient in various formations and can contain the enemy without fighting. I think Penglai is the best at this. I heard that Elder Jinun of your sect used to be a disciple of Elder Shiding, and now he is the #1 formation master in Penglai. Let the Immortal know. Luo Yan was named by the Longmei Immortal, and he responded neither humbly nor arrogantly. It is easy to set up a large formation to stop other cultivators, but it is extremely difficult to set up the formation flags and form a formation in a moment. What I meant was that I could set up a formation to stop them, but it would take time. They were not stupid, they saw me setting up a formation, why didn't they charging? There is only half a day left before the secret realm opens. The Wang Xiang Immortal also echoed, it is absolutely impossible to set up a huge formation to stop so many Union monks within half a day. I think the other party must have expected this, so they deliberately came in the last half a day to catch us off guard. The Shushan people whispered to each other and discussed for a long time, and the voices did not stop. Suddenly, Shili from Penglai said, why go far away? Your sect has the Liangyi Microdust sword, and can set up the Liangyi Microdust formation at any time. At the time, ask a Union elder to hold the sword and set up the formation, right? This is not possible. Su Jian immediately rejected it and said, the Liangyi Microdust sword is a sword worn by immortals, and this is known to the world. Even if it is lent to the Peak Master Elder for use, and it is spread outside and cannot be explained clearly, in the end it will still become Shushan immortals holding swords to stop Union monks. What's the difference between that and the immortals taking direct action? Kyo Chang-time listened silently and laughed in his heart. To put it bluntly, although Shushan advocates toughness, it cannot be that Shushan alone is tough and defend all these outsourced Union elders. Instead, the 3 pure ones of the Orthodox sect must stand together and be tough. Lady Lily's proposal seems to be in line with Shushan's tough intentions, but in fact it requires the long-browed immortal to take action and block the bullets for the 3 sects, which Shushan is certainly unwilling to do. The atmosphere on the field fell silent again, and for a while no one had any good ideas, or rather, they were all disgusted by the shameless means of Wei Motao's holding the world hostage to force the Orthodox sect. Actually, Kyo Chang-time said slowly again, have you ever thought about it? Can the Demon Lord Wei control other nascent soul cultivators who were not from the demon sect? Everyone was speechless, and after a while someone asked, does Elder Chan Zhen mean to use a strategy of sowing discord? Kyo Chang-time choked when he heard this, and then said, you can put yourselves in the shoes of these external cultivators. Now there is the 7 treasures Chuan Yuan secret realm, which is occupied by the 3 pure ones of the Orthodox sect. At this time, a cultivator from the demon sect came to visit privately, saying that he could gather a large number of fellow practitioners to denounce and demand a share of the pie from the Orthodox sect. I think everyone will agree, right? After all, the law does not hold everyone responsible. Even if nothing is gained in the end, the Orthodox sect will not hold him accountable. After all, there are so many fellow practitioners present, and the Orthodox sect cannot punish them all. But if the demon sect cultivator says that everyone should act in unison and obey the orders of Alliance Leader Wei, then think about it as the elders of the sect, will you still agree? Of course I won't agree. Someone from Shushan spoke up again. "I'm not a six-path cultivator, and I'm also an essence soul elder. Why should I obey six-path's orders?" Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be Lin Yunpo, the master of Qin sword. This time he was supporting himself. Suppressing the strange emotions in his heart, Qiu Changtian continued. "Although the external monks are dissatisfied with our orthodox three purities, they certainly don't want to be in cahoots with the demon sect's six paths. Therefore, I predict that Demon Chief Wei has extremely limited control over the external monks. Maybe he just incites them and can't control them at all." "Brother, what you mean is," Zhu Yingyang next to him also understood, "is Demon Chief Wei using a delaying tactic? For example, we have agreed with Demon Chief Wei that we will send 12 people and the other side will send 12 people. Qiu Changtian said slowly, "Now it's the turn of the demon sect monks and the external monks to share a total of 12 places. How should they be divided? Inside the demon sect, of course, Demon Chief Wei has the final say. If more places are allocated to this sect, then this sect will come up with corresponding benefits, and we will always reach an agreement in the end. But the places for external monks cannot be divided properly no matter how. If they are given to certain people, the rest of the people will have no chance. How can they give up? Plus, as the leader of the demon cult, he can't control so many nascent soul elders. So in the end, those who didn't get a place will definitely choose to rush in on the spot. So, there's no need to say anything more to those thieves." Master Ziwei nodded and concluded, "We don't need to worry about the 12 places. When the time comes, everyone will gather their elite troops and rush into the secret realm based on their own abilities." Chapter 945. Fortune and Destiny. To be honest, Qiu Changtian was extremely surprised and impressed by Wei Dongliu's strategy of finding a lot of Yuning elders from other sects to jointly attack the defense line of the Orthodox sect. After all, in the past, the Orthodox sect and the demon sect had been fighting each other, and both sides did not take these scattered small sects seriously. In addition, the Orthodox sect basically had the upper hand. Although many small sects were timid and did not dare to dig for food from the tiger's mouth, it did not mean that they had no resentment in their hearts. With such resentment accumulating over time, it only takes a spark and an opportunity to burst it out at the right time. When so many Yuning monks gathered together, even the three pure ones of the Orthodox sect did not dare to grab their edge head-on, so there was an opportunity to fish in troubled waters. Of course, for Wei Dongliu, finding so many monks to attack the Orthodox sect was naturally not to add trouble to Qiu Changtian. Considering that Wei Dongliu is his future self, there must be some intention behind this behavior, but at this point in time, he does not know it for the time being. It doesn't matter if you don't know. As long as you have experienced the first exploration of the secret realm of Kaibahok Chuan Yuan in its entirety, you will naturally get a glimpse of the whole picture. Considering that Wei Dongliu did this, it was almost inevitable that a large number of cultivators would rush into the Kaibahok Chuan Yuan secret realm. Therefore, Qiu Changtian also pointed out the other party's intention, so that the Orthodox Church would also send a large number of people, which just happened to be in line with Wei Dongliu's intention. What happened next was exactly as he expected. Since the difficulty of the secret realm test would inevitably increase dramatically, the Orthodox Church San King could only try to send more elite people to increase the probability that someone would win in the end. On the Kunlun Tai King sect side, the Ziwei sect master had already started to make arrangements quickly. Chang Zhen and Pingyin, as the previous masters of the Golden, were of course in the team heading to the secret realm. Except for the two, nearly two-thirds of the Yuning elders had to participate in this secret realm exploration. As for the elders who did not participate, some of them really had something to do so they stayed in Kunlun, and the other part was arranged to guard the sect's resident to prevent the internal defensive from being taken advantage of. As for the negotiations with the demon sect, since Qiu Changtian was not in charge of this, he did not know the general situation. Anyway, by the next day, the golden light had reached the outside of the far north sky pillar, and the innermost rune circulation continued to rotate slowly. The Orthodox monks surrounded the far north sky pillar, constantly laying out various formations or spells, trying to contain and delay the hostile monks on the periphery. Even if they could not stop all of them, it would be good to stop some of them to reduce the difficulty of the test. The demon monks and the foreign monks mixed together on the periphery, set up their formations and began to move forward slowly, relying on the fact that the three pure ones of the Orthodox Church would not fight against them, and constantly tested and squeezed their defenses. Shushan was the first to lose control and started a small-scale fight with the monks on the opposite side. Penglai immediately instructed the monks to retreat slowly and not to have a head-on conflict with the foreign monks. The Kunlun monks hesitated for a moment, and Qiu Changtian immediately issued an order. Follow Penglai. Kunlun Penglai's retreat immediately exposed the Shushan monks in front, attracting a large number of foreign monks' hatred. Shushan was filled with curses, and the headmaster Sujin quickly gave the order. We also retreat. As the Shushan sword immortals retreated one after another, they finally made room for a large area. The demon sect and the monks from outside immediately moved forward, and several teams rushed out first, starting to crack the formations and spells left by the orthodox sect. As the two sides advanced and retreated, the situation on the field immediately became clear. The three pure ones on the orthodox sect could not work together and advance and retreat in moderation, so they were unable to stop the monks from the opposite camp without killing them, and could only throw formations everywhere. The demon sect was not fearless either. After all, they had to use the monks from outside to block the arrows, so they could not organize a large-scale advance, and could only rush to the ground with the monks from outside to crack the formations with violence. Finally, the golden stream of light touched the outer wall of the extreme north pillar in the process of shrinking the inner diameter of the rotation, and then it strangely stopped moving. The tableau script was still spinning, but the golden light seemed to be stuck to the pillar of heaven, just burning like a ball of flame, stable and inextinguishable. Now, as the three pure masters gave their orders, everyone rushed to the border between the sky and the pillar of heaven. For a moment, thousands of lights were released, rolling up like a meteor shower, and flowing endlessly. The demon sect and the foreign monks also activated their secret methods and rushed to the location of the golden light. The orthodox sect also left some yearning monks to cover the rear, trying to prevent the monks of these hostile camps from entering the secret realm. As a result, they were like reefs trying to resist the tide, and were soon submerged by the almost huge crowd. Qiu Changtian and Zhu Yinglyan were originally in Kunlun's starting lineup, and were closest to the pillar of heaven. Therefore, when the golden light turned into a stagnant flame, the two had already rushed to the front. Looking back, he saw a dark crowd of people. It was the first time he saw so many yearning monks, at least 5,000 inches number. Don't be in a daze. Zhu Yinglyan noticed that he actually had time to look back, and hurriedly pulled him hard. Let's go. As soon as the voice fell, the two of them plunged into the golden flame. Although the flame was burning fiercely, there was no temperature inside. The two felt the world spinning, and the familiar feeling of space folding, and then they appeared on the vast ocean. Qiu Changtian. He quickly glanced around and saw that the sky was covered with dark clouds and heavy rain. The whole world seemed to be covered by a curtain of water, and it was almost impossible to see the scene a few hundred feet away. The two are now standing on a small boat, and under the boat was the turbulent sea water. This boat is not an ordinary ship, but a boat-shaped magic weapon, so it can stay afloat in this extremely harsh climate environment without capsizing. You are here. A person suddenly appeared on the boat, but it was an old man with a serious expression. This is the secret realm of Kaibahok Chuan Yuan. Hello, senior. Qiu Changtian and Zhu Yinglyan saluted quickly. Stop talking nonsense. The old man seemed to dislike nonsense and just said lightly, the test of the seven treasures mysterious garden secret realm is different from the previous two secret realms. Seeing that the two did not show a puzzled expression of what are the previous two secret realms, he confirmed that the two did not enter this place by mistake, but followed the clues to find it, so he continued indifferently. The White Jade Capital tests combat strength, and the Golden Palace tests wisdom and courage. The cultivators who can pass these two secret realms are all people of both wisdom and courage. However, the way of heaven is unpredictable. Even if you are both wise and brave, it is useless if you are born at the wrong time. This seven treasures mysterious garden secret realm tests your fortune and luck. This place simulates our world in a great disaster of world destruction. It is surrounded by terrifying crises. Even immortals can hardly protect themselves here. You must survive as much as possible. If you die, you will fail. Only the 12 cultivators who live the longest can succeed the title of the Master of the Seven Treasures Mysterious Garden and obtain the position of the Great Light Hall. Chapter 946. Heavy Rain and Stars. After explaining the rules of the Secret Realm trial, the phantom of the old man quickly disappeared on the boat. So only Qiu Changtian and Zhu Yinglyan were left on the boat. The two looked around, and apart from the heavy rain and the vast ocean, there seemed to be nothing else between heaven and earth. Is this the scene after the destruction of the world? Zhu Yinglyan frowned and said. She tried to pinch the formula to release the Taoism, and the bright fire spurted out from her mouth and nose, spraying towards the front. The raging fire evaporated all the rain wherever it passed, and the white mist and heavy rain intertwined with each other, but did not create the original sea of fire environment. As Yu Ying stopped urging the true essence, the large flames were quickly extinguished by the heavy rain, and the world returned to the water curtain. This environment is too harsh, restraining all non-water-based Taoist methods and magic weapons. Zhu Ying frowned and said, but, just this storm, I'm afraid it's not enough to kill high-level cultivators. Well. Qiu Changtai suddenly pointed to the distance and said, Junior sister, look. Zhu Ying looked in the direction he pointed, and saw a meteor piercing through the heavy clouds, dragging a blue flame tail, tearing through the endless rain curtain, and falling into the distance. What is that? Zhu Ying asked in surprise. Even from a long distance, she could see that the meteor must have extremely huge heat. The torn clouds continued to spread outward from the hole, and a large amount of cloud mist and water vapor rippled with the undulating shock waves. That's a falling star. Qiu Changtai sighed and said, Junior sister, if that star falls on our heads, can we stop it? No. Zhu Ying made a quick judgment. It's not just because of the heat, but also because of its extremely huge size, which is more exaggerated than a mountain. Unless an immortal is here and uses the magical power of moving mountains and filling the sea, what can be used to block it? It's luck, it's true. Qiu Changtai sighed, if you're unfortunately hit by such a star, you'll definitely die. Moreover, even if you were not hit head-on, before he finished speaking, he saw a short white wall suddenly appear in the direction where the meteor fell. At first it was only slightly high, but soon it became higher and higher, or closer and closer, and finally it turned into a tsunami nearly 1,000 feet high, smashing down on the boat the two were riding. At that moment, the two pinched the dough formula at the same time. Zhu Ying spit out the red feather 9 phoenix fire, and the golden thread cut the tsunami in half. Qiu Changtai bombarded with chi thunder, blasting a big hole in the ruthless water curtain, and the boat just passed through the big hole in the tsunami white wall. Before the two of them could catch their breath, they saw that the second tsunami wall was approaching not far ahead. How could a tsunami caused by a huge star falling like this only have one wave? The second, third, fourth, when the 17th wave of tsunamis came, the height had dropped to 100 feet. Zhu Ying was about to make a spell, but Qiu Changtai held his hands. Take a break, junior sister. Qiu Changtai said. I still have a lot of true energy. Zhu Ying said stubbornly, but her breath was a little disordered and her voice was trembling. If I don't have true energy later, I will have to rely on you to take me to escape. Qiu Changtai said with a smile. This was said quite skillfully, so Zhu Ying soon stopped being stubborn. Indeed, if my senior brother and I both use up our true energy here, what should we do if we encounter danger again later? Zhu Ying sat cross-legged and meditated, and began to race against time to recover his true energy, ready to take over the exhausted senior brother's shift at any time. Qiu Changtai smiled in his heart. Ordinary nascent soul cultivators would of course consider the issue of endurance when facing such a situation. But he is a first-grade immortal infant, and his true essence is so abundant and powerful that he has even caught up with the earth immortals. To stop the consumption of these tsunamis is just like sprinkling water. However, the tsunami is just the aftermath of the falling stars. If the stars fall one after another, even if he can withstand the tsunami, the small boat magic weapon under him may not be able to withstand the tsunami. In addition, if the stars fall too close, the difficulty of resisting the tsunami will increase, so he still has to find a shelter. But the shelter, if there is a shelter to resist the great disaster of world destruction, why would he look for the sky-repairing stone? Qiu Changtai thought so, and suddenly heard Kunlun Mirror suddenly say, there is an island over there. Speaking of the island, Qiu Changtai immediately woke up. Isn't that a natural shelter? You know, with the amount of heavy rain and the surging waves at this time, the rapid undercurrent under the ocean is definitely more dangerous. If you accidentally fall into the water, you may be swept away somewhere, and you won't even have time to use your Taoist magic. But if they reach the island, although the rainstorm continues, the environmental interference will be greatly reduced, and the possibility of survival will naturally increase. Therefore, Qiu Changtai raised the Tianyuan Yeki sword, held it horizontally against the tail of the boat, and then quickly urged it towards the island. Zhu Ying felt the vibration of the boat under her, opened her eyes, and saw the outline of the island vaguely appearing in the rain in the distance. As the island gradually approached, she suddenly stood up and asked in confusion, is that an island? It doesn't look like it. Qiu Changtai also narrowed his eyes. Generally speaking, as long as the soil on an island is not too bad, there'll usually be some trees or herbs growing. But that island was bare, and there was no gently sloping beach, but it seemed to suddenly pierce out from the bottom of the sea, as if, junior sister. Kyo Chang-time suddenly said, "Look at this island, does it look like the top of a mountain range?" Zhu Ying-Yan was shocked. She followed the edge of the island and probed her consciousness downward. At the edge of the divine sense exploration, the part of the island submerged in the seawater still extends downward extremely steeply, and there is no seabed nearby. This island is actually a small tip on the top of a huge mountain range at the bottom of the extremely deep seabed. Or what is more terrifying is that this was originally the top of a mountain. But now the sea level has risen so much that the entire mountain has been submerged by more than 99%, leaving only a small bulge of an island. Thinking of this, Zhu Ying-Yan couldn't help but shudder. If even the top of the mountain can become an island, it means that the deep place under our feet, under the heavy seawater, is the plane where the human race originally lived. Kyo Chang-time was well prepared. After all, he already knew that the world is like a hollow glass marble immersed in the sea. Once the surface of the marble is damaged, it is only a matter of time before it is filled with water. With the complete destruction of the world, no one will survive, but I just need to live longer than others to successfully pass this test. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 947 Above the Clouds. So the seawater is rising? Zhu Ying-Yan asked solemnly. That's about right. Kyo Chang-time looked at the sea and said slowly, after a while, the area of this island has shrunk a lot again. What if we dig a hole and get in? Then when the seawater rises and completely submerges the island, it will still have to pour in from the hole. It seems that we need to use a water-avoiding magic weapon. Zhu Ying-Yan said thoughtfully. Unfortunately, neither of them carried a water-avoiding magic weapon. After all, this thing is useless in the Kunlun Mountains. I'll try diving again. Zhu Ying-Yan said unwillingly. I'll accompany you. Kyo Chang-time said. The two came to the edge of the island, jumped into the sea, and dived deep down. Since the cultivator has already practiced fasting and taught us breathing, the general deep sea environment, whether it is the inability to breathe or the water pressure, cannot cause any harm to the cultivator. But the deep sea here, with huge and chaotic water currents surging underneath it all the time, makes it difficult for the cultivator to even maintain basic body stability, which is very troublesome. In the case of being unable to maintain balance, if you relax a little, you don't know where you will be swept away. The two dived to a depth of 300 feet, and saw a bright blue color suddenly lit up in the dark waters below. It was a star that had fallen and embedded in the mountain, and was now submerged in the deep sea. At the long distance now, its specific outline could not be seen clearly for the time being, and only a large blue fireball could be seen, burning fiercely in the seawater. As they continued to approach a distance, the surrounding seawater also quickly heated up, from freezing cold to scorching hot and boiling. If they continued to approach, even the bodies of the monks would not be able to withstand the increasingly intense high temperature. Kyo Chang-time and Zhu Ying-Yan looked at each other for a moment, and each read the helplessness in the other's eyes. This is the most deadly danger in the deep sea. A falling star can heat up a large area of the surrounding seawater to boiling. If you let the undercurrent around you roll you around, and then rush into the boiling seawater around the star, or even hit the burning star itself, you'll die directly. However, as long as you stay in the sea for a long time, you have to continue to consume your true energy to resist the impact of the undercurrent. When your true energy is completely exhausted, you will still be forced to go with the flow. No wonder the old man said that what needs to be tested is the so-called fortune and luck. If you're unlucky, you may be swept into the surroundings of the stars and turned into ashes and die. If you are lucky, you may be safe even if you drift in the deep sea for several days. Speaking of this, Kyo Chang-time suddenly thought of Shilili again. With Mish's luck and her almost heaven-defying magic skills, wouldn't she be like a fish in water here? On the other hand, although junior sister Yu is also superb in her fire-based Taoist magic, she is almost restrained to no avail when encountering this deep-sea environment. What are you thinking about, brother? Zhu Ying-Yan asked in secret. There is nothing to see in the sea. Kyo Chang-time replied, let's go back. Yes. Zhu Ying-Yan nodded in response. The two of them rose to the surface again, and were swept by various turbulences in the middle. Fortunately, both Qiu Changtai and Zhu Yingyan had more powerful true essence than their peers, so they could still resist. After leaving the sea and returning to the island was only 1/3 of its original area. It was obvious that the sea level was still rising endlessly, which felt like a global warming horror movie. What if we dig a hole here on the island and try to seal the hole to prevent water from flooding in? Zhu Yingyan had another sudden idea. Not very good. Qiu Changtai pondered and said, based on the pressure we endured on the seabed before, ordinary magic weapons or spells can't seal the hole for a long time. More importantly, if a star happens to hit us, can such a hole withstand the attack of the star? Zhu Yingyan was speechless. Indeed, if a star hits the position of the two, then the only way to save lives is to leave as soon as possible. If the two were in the open air, it would be fine, at least they could see what was happening in the sky. But if they were in a cave, they would lose their ability to detect the outside world. If they were really unlucky and a star hit them on the head, they would almost certainly die. Do we have to stay outside and react? Zhu Yingyan frowned. The two looked up at the sky, and Qiu Changtai suddenly had an idea and said, why don't we go above the clouds to have a look? Because there was heavy rain below the clouds, whether it affected the use of Taoism or hindered the flying of monks, the negative effects were too annoying, so it would be good to hide above the clouds. Zhu Yingyan had no objection, and the two flew up on their swords and began to rush towards the sky quickly. As they got closer to the clouds, the thunder around them gradually became denser, like electric snakes dancing like robbery clouds, rushing towards the two. Qiu Changtai casually used to chew thunder to blast all the thunder away, so that they could not get close. Finally, they passed through the heavy clouds and arrived above the clouds. They saw that the sky, which was originally covered with glazed rune rivers, was now full of cracks. A large number of rune rivers were either cut off or twisted and messy, twisting randomly like twitching earthworms. Surrounded by these strange rune rivers were large and small holes in the sky. The boundless water of the chaotic sky river poured down along the holes, forming countless magnificent and majestic waterfalls, and finally rushed into the sea of clouds, raising countless misty clouds. They continued to replenish the sea of clouds and pushed the layers of dark clouds to spread in all directions. Suddenly, a sword light flashed from the waterfall. Qiu Changtai looked ahead and saw that there were monks fighting each other there. Not only in front, but also on the left, right, back and high places, sporadic battles were taking place. Obviously, Qiu Changtai and Zhu Yingyan were not the only ones who thought of taking shelter above the clouds. There are no turbulent waves here, nor heavy rain that blocks the view. Even the direction of the falling stars can be traced. The only problem is that the view is so good that the monks on the opposite side can be seen from a long distance. Considering what the old man said, the 12 monks who survive to the end will get the position of the master of the 7 treasures Chuan Yuan. It is natural to say what they will do after discovering the monks of other sects. Qiu Changtai was pondering, and saw Zhu Yingyan beside him suddenly opened his mouth and spit out a very thin golden-lined fire knife. The golden line suddenly moved forward and cut the tin-head waterfall on the side of the two people in half. The demon monk who was hiding behind the waterfall and was about to sneak attack the two was also killed instantly by the Kyujian fire, and was unwilling to turn into light and left. Seeing that there was no corpse left on the opposite side, Qiu Changtai knew that it should be the protection mechanism of the secret realm that sent these losers out of the secret realm. Brother, how is it? Zhu Yingyan asked eagerly. Rather than being caught in the rain and flooded below, she would rather fight with other monks above the clouds. We can't stay here. Qiu Changtai made a quick decision. Let's go down. Chapter 948 The Devil Arrives. Why don't you stay above the clouds? Zhu Yingyan asked curiously, using secret voice transmission. A tall tree attracts the wind. Qiu Changtai answered concisely, you and I are surrounded by enemies and may be attacked. So what? Zhu Yingyan asked in confusion. I can beat 10 ordinary cultivators of the same level. The implication is that even if hundreds of cultivators gather together, can they be your opponents, brother? Qiu Changtai shook his head and said nothing. Indeed, with his current cultivation level far exceeding that of his peers, he can beat as many as he wants. But what if it isn't Zissou who comes? If he can choose any of the 3 places, above the clouds, on the sea, or on the seabed, Zissou will definitely choose to kill in the clouds with his personality. When he sees Senior Sister Anne, will he kill her with a sword, or what? At this moment, Ling Yunpo, that is, his future self, will probably be inseparable from Senior Sister Anne. After dealing with Senior Sister Anne, he looked back and saw Junior Sisters Yu and Ling Yunpo fighting. Who should he help? Not Junior Sister. Impossible. Help junior sister to kill Ling Yunpo. So you're going to eliminate yourself, right? Qiu Changtian has made up his mind. Ling Yunpo will take senior sister into the clouds, Qiu Changtian will explore the sea with junior sister, and Luoyan and Lady Luli will wander around the seabed. As for Wei Dongliu and Witch Jiang, Lady Jiang may not be happy with where he wants to go. He can only act according to circumstances. After descending under the clouds again and returning to the harsh climate of wind and rain, Zhu Yingyan frowned slightly uncomfortably, and found that the island where the two had originally stayed had now completely disappeared. The small boat magic weapon parked near the island had also disappeared. The magic weapon was originally low level, and the seawater had never stopped, so the environment was too harsh, so it was not surprising that it was destroyed. But in this way, the two could only move by flying swords. Compared with the undercurrent surging under the sea, the air is much safer, but the heavy rain and strong winds also make it difficult for people to maintain their balance. Even though that two of them were far superior to their peers in terms of cultivation, they could only stagger forward under the strong wind of natural disaster level. If the island today were originally all mountains, Zhu Yingyan suddenly said, then we should choose higher mountains, so that we can last longer in the rising sea. Speaking of mountains, the more northwest and southwest you go, the more towering mountains there are. Qiu Changtian thought, however, the world simulated in this secret realm may not be exactly the same as our real world. And even if it is the same, Zhu Yingyan sighed, in this environment, we can't tell directions. I can tell directions, Kunlun Mirror said suddenly, are you going to the west? Let's just look at the west for now. Qiu Changtian agreed. Following the guidance of Kunlun Mirror, the two turned to the west. As expected, as they got closer to the west, the island gradually became denser. This should be the Sequantia region, Qiu Changtian pondered. In other words, if we turn northwest from here, can we reach the Kunlun Mountains? There is no other place to go anyway, Zhu Yingyan said. The two turned northwest again, and flew for several hours in the storm, and finally saw the outline of the continent vaguely. The so-called continent is actually the original Qinghai Tibet Plateau. Because of its average altitude of thousands of feet, it has temporarily survived the crisis of rising seawater. However, as the two continued to fly forward, they saw rushing rivers everywhere below, pouring down to the east along the gullies of the continental skeleton. On the banks between the rivers, most of them were burning with long-lasting flames, and even the earth turned black. Qiu Changtian was slightly startled, and then he understood the reason. This place is west of Shenzhou. Although it has avoided being submerged by the sea because of its towering terrain, the sky above is still leaking and falling stars, so it is not much better. If the star fell into the sea, at least its heat would be blocked by the large amount of seawater around it, but the plateau was not flooded, and the light and heat of the meteorite burst out recklessly, turning the entire plateau into another more severe volcanic valley. The two had to continue to rise in altitude, avoid the hot white gas, and continue to fly along the direction of the Kunlun Mountains in their memories. Soon, the huge, collapsed Kunlun pillar gradually emerged from the two people's vision. The pillar broke at about 1/3 of the height. The reason for the collapse was embedded in the mountain. It was a star that was small in size but still had infinite light and heat. The light and heat of the star melted the surrounding white snow, turning the surrounding mountains into bare rock mountains, which was as ugly as it could be. In addition, not far from the Kunlun pillar, the water of the galaxy poured out from the sky, forming a huge barrier lake between the mountains, and the water level was still rising. There is no Yuxu Palace. Zhu Yingyan flew to the top of the collapsed pillar and looked for a moment. It seems that this place is just a simulation of the topography of the continent. When this secret realm was built, there was no Kunlun Tai King sect. Qiu Changtian said with a smile. He suddenly raised his head and saw that in the direction of the league, there seemed to be a large number of black things flying over. Is that the devil? A large number of devils, like flies smelling rotten meat, swooped down here. Before they arrived here, the invisible devil sound waves were released from their throats, completely covering the place where Qiu Changtian and Zhu Yingyan were standing. Zhu Yingyan's brain was shocked, and then there was a violent buzzing sound, filling her entire mind. The devils have always been proficient in illusions, and the sound of so many devils gathered together, the volume alone is enough to make people faint. Even though she had the talent of the seven-aperture mind, she was also dizzy by the sight. In a hurry, she had to quickly operate the mind method and do formula. She couldn't see the direction clearly, so she simply vomited in front of her. Qiu Changtian was much calmer, because his clear mind was immune to illusions, so he just thought they were noisy. As Zhu Yingyan spit out the great light fire to block the vision of the demons, he also blew the tide-pushing horizontal wave flute to use sound waves to counter the demons' illusionary sounds. Faced with the obstruction of the great light fire, the demons quickly split into two groups. Those with insufficient cultivation tried to attack in a roundabout way around the sea of fire. Those with strong cultivation relied on their tough bodies and fiercely attacked on the great light fire. Another thunderous roar blew the flames in all directions. I saw that more than half of the demons who rushed into the sea of fire were gone in an instant. But Qiu Chang Tian, with the cover of the great light fire, quietly shot a large hole thunder that was specifically designed to defeat the demons. Chapter 949. Secret Passage of Fenbahu Rock. In ancient times, when the sky leaks were not repaired, the ground sunken was not filled, and demons were rampant, thunder magic became the favorite skill of human cultivators, not only because of its strong lethality, but also because of its strong targeted restraint effect. Jake Pivot Thunder, Divine Thunder, and Big Hole Thunder, respectively targeted ghosts, monsters, and demons, and thus became one of the most popular Taoist methods at the time. Even old Taoist priests in remote places would learn a palm thunder for self-defense, which shows that Qiu Chang Tian used the bright fire to cover the big hole thunder, and the first shot achieved remarkable results, killing at least 5 or 6 demons. The demons first scattered as if frightened, and then gathered in a group in the distance, like large patches of black fog, circling around the two cautiously, with an expression that wanted to bite but was afraid of hitting their teeth. Why are the demons here? Qiu Chang Tian pondered. The sky is broken, so the demons must go down to the lower world. Zhu Yingyan said calmly, the Kunlun mountains are high and closer to the sky. Is it strange to have demons? It's still not right. Qiu Chang Tian shook his head and said, when we penetrated the clouds and came to a position close to the sky, weren't there many cultivators fighting each other there? The battlefield is chaotic and closer to the sky. It should be a place where demons prefer to appear, but we haven't seen any demons there. Brother, what you mean is, Zhu Yingyan said slowly, is there something on Kunlun that attracts demons to gather together? I can't say for sure. Qiu Chang Tian said cautiously, let's investigate first. In fact, reality may not be logical, but creative art may not be. If this is the real world, then a bunch of demons may just be passing by. But since this is a simulation of the Kaibaho Chuan Yuan secret realm, if demons are only used to increase the test, then there should be demons everywhere in the sky, not just limited to Kunlun. Qiu Chang Tian still remembered that the old man was talking about testing fortune and luck. Since it is a tested luck, you have to wander around more. After all, even if you are lucky enough to pick up money on the road, you'll have no money to pick up if you stay at home all day. The two of them circled around Kunlun Tianzhu for a long time, but did not find anything worth noting. Qiu Chang Tian flew in the direction of the demon again, thinking silently in his heart. In this direction of Kunlun Tianzhu, there should be Fenbahu Rock nearby. I remember that Fenbahu Rock was not built by Kunlun Tai King sect, but a legacy of an older time, right? When they arrived at Fenbahu Rock, Zhu Yingyan raised his eyebrows and said, Fenbahu Rock in ancient times, there must be no treasures in it. Just take a look. Qiu Chang Tian replied. The two came to the bottom of Fenbahu Rock, and Qiu Chang Tian pinched the dough formula and tried to open the door. The rock wall in front did not respond. This was also expected by Zhu Yingyan. After all, the dough formula for opening the door was most likely created by Kunlun Tai King sect later, and of course it could not be used in the secret realm of Kaibaho Chuan Yuan. Qiu Chang Tian pondered for a moment and said, break through the wall and go in. Zhu Yingyan also pinched the dough formula, and the red feather 9 phoenix fire shot out, and soon broke through the rock layer directly, revealing the cave inside. If it was the Fenbahu Rock in the real world, forcibly breaking the barrier like this would definitely trigger the defensive mechanism set up by Kunlun. But there is no Kunlun Tai King sect here, so there is no defensive formation that can be triggered. After the smoke and dust cleared, the two entered the cave entrance. Inside was the cave furnishings of Fenbahu Rock, which was almost the same as in reality, but without many artificially polished stone tables and stone chairs. It was just empty and a little depressed. This place is just like the prison in the discipline hall. They are all left by the human race in ancient times. Qiu Chang Tian said as he walked. At the time, there was not even ancient Kunlun. I guess the builder should be some ancient great man who lived here. Yes. Zhu Yingyan looked around. So in this era, there are actually people living here? What do you think? It doesn't look like it. Zhu Yingyan pondered, otherwise why are there no tables and chairs? Maybe the great man is simple and frugal and is too lazy to make furniture. Qiu Changtime guessed. Then there shouldn't be so many caves. Zhu Yingyan strode forward. The two entered the inner room from the outside. The Kunlun elders who originally guarded the dividing treasure rock usually stayed in this inner room, responsible for receiving guests or intercepting intruders. But this is not the Kunlun dividing treasure rock at this time, so there are naturally no elders in the inner room. Therefore, the two swaggered through the inner room and came to the wayhouse where the treasures were stored. The wayhouse was a huge cave, originally filled with many stone shelves, on which various treasures were stored in different categories. There were naturally countless arrays and mechanisms around it, and if one or two were accidentally touched, the body and soul would be destroyed. However, at this time in that cave, many of the stone shelves were still standing, but there were many jade slips on them. Zhu Yingyan took down a jade slip and probed his consciousness into it, and said in astonishment, "It's blank, there is no record in it." It's not that there is no record, but the Kaibaho Chuan Yuan secret realm did not add any content to it. Qiu Changtime pondered and said, "In the real world, the founders of ancient Kunlun must have taken all these jade slips away. Why are there so many jade slips here?" Zhu Yingyan said thoughtfully, "Who built this place in ancient times?" She pondered this question that was destined to have no answer, and suddenly heard Qiu Changtime say, "Junior sister. What's wrong? There seems to be a secret door in the wall in front." Qiu Changtime made a judgment directly, of course not based on any unreliable guess, but he did scan the existence of the secret door there. Zhu Yingyan pinched the dough formula without thinking, and quickly spit out the red feather 9 phoenix fire. The golden thread cut the wall in front, revealing the dark hole behind. "Why is there another secret door?" Zhu Yingyan said in surprise, "There is a secret door outside, and there is another secret door here. How suspicious is the builder to arrange so many means to cover it up? Let's go in and take a look." Qiu Changtime took the lead and stepped into the cave. The two walked through the long corridor, and finally saw a faint light in front of them, and then gradually expanded. At the end of the corridor, it was the top of a mountain. "Is this the secret realm of Tianmen Hall?" Qiu Changtime turned around in astonishment and saw that there was only a small, simple land temple where Tianmen Hall was originally built. The temple enshrined the ancient statue of Tai King Tianzun. When Qiu Changtime had not yet formed the elixir, he was enlightened in front of this ancient statue and obtained the cultivation of the waffle level for 70 years. It turns out that there is an entrance to the secret realm of Tianmen Hall in the inner cave of Fenbahu Rock. Zhu Yingyan was amazed. She had also gained enlightenment in front of the ancient statue of Tai King Tianzun, so she naturally recognized where this place was. She flew her sword towards the original entrance to the secret realm of Tianmen Hall in her memory, intending to explore it carefully. Qiu Changtime stood there in a daze, thinking to himself, "Does Kunlun Tai King sect know about the secret door leading to Tianmen Hall and Fenbahu Rock? If they don't know, can I sneak into the secret realm of Tianmen Hall from Fenbahu Rock and quietly steal the fragments of the booty and stone without triggering the mechanism of the secret realm entrance?" Chapter 950. Lord of Heaven and Earth. To enter the Tianmen Palace secret realm from Kunlun Yuxu Palace, one must pass through the suspended sky bridge to reach the mountain where the Tianmen Palace is located. However, the Tianmen Palace secret realm at this time, or more accurately, the Tianmen Palace secret realm in ancient times, only has a bare mounting, and there is no suspended sky bridge. Zhu Yingyan hovered on the sword for a long time, but did not find where the entrance was. In addition, she remembered that the entrance to the secret realm was located in the Yuxu Palace of Kunlun Tianzu, and the Kunlun Tianzu of this world had collapsed, and the Yuxu Palace had not been built, so naturally there was no entrance. So she returned with a lack of interest, and just happened to see Qiu Changtime standing in front of the land god temple, carefully looking at the entrance the two came in. The two came out of a tree hole of a pine or cypress, but from the perspective of the Tianmen Palace secret realm, the knots of the pine and cypress were only the size of a fist, and it seemed impossible to enter or exit it. After asking the Kunlun mirror to scan carefully, it was discovered that there was a magical power of law of heaven and earth on it. When entering from the Fenbahu Rock and passing through the long corridor, people would be in the restriction of law of heaven and earth, and their bodies would continue to shrink until they came out of the tree hole in the center of the knot and suddenly returned to their original state. But the most wonderful thing is that even though their bodies were shrunk and enlarged by law of heaven and earth, the two did not notice anything unusual until the Kunlun mirror scanned and discovered the mystery. This is really... Zhu Yingliang listened to Qiu Changtian's explanation of the mystery, and suddenly couldn't help but sigh in amazement. Lord of heaven and earth, a long-lost ancient magical power, I didn't expect to see it here. It is said that this magical power can not only make the body bigger or smaller, but also freely transform into birds and beasts, mosquitoes, rats and ants, and go anywhere in the sky and into the earth. She stretched out her hand to the pine and cypress knot, and sure enough, the closer she got to the knot, the more strangely her palm shrank as if it was illuminated by a funhouse mirror. Junior sister. Qiu Changtian suddenly said, if the seawater from the outside floods the position of the Fenbahu rock, can it flow into this secret realm along the passage? Zhu Yingliang pondered for a moment and replied. It was hard to say at first, but now it should be possible. Why? Qiu Changtian asked curiously, and then immediately reacted. In order to enter the secret realm, the two of them broke the rock wall outside. If the Fenbahu rock was completely submerged by the seawater, it might be able to withstand the pressure for a period of time, but now it has been broken and it is definitely not possible. However, speaking of the law of heaven and earth, a Jing. Qiu Changtian suddenly asked, is this law of heaven and earth a formation? No. Kunlun Mirror replied, it should be a part of the secret realm's restriction, it's just that the exit is fixed on the knot of this pine tree. Pine, cypress, mountain peaks, and the ancient statue of Tai King Tians are all parts of the secret realm, and they were not brought in from the outside. In that case, Qiu Changtian had an idea, can we fine-tune the mechanism of the law of heaven and earth a little bit? Fine-tune? Kunlun Mirror asked in surprise, you mean, when you come in from the corridor outside, your body will shrink first, and then it will expand after passing through the knot? Qiu Changtian said quickly, can this expansion step be removed? You mean, only shrink, not enlarge? Kunlun Mirror frowned and said, it uses the law of heaven and earth as a channel connecting the secret realm and the outside. I guess it should be for safety considerations. The law of heaven and earth is a very obscure and difficult to learn spell. Without mastering this spell, rashly stepping into the passage of the law of heaven and earth is almost equivalent to handing over one's life to the controller inside the magic circle. Once it is determined that it is an external enemy, the controller in the secret realm can remove the step of re-enlargement, causing the enemy entering to be miniaturized to the size of a knotty tree hole and unable to recover on its own. There are many dangers after miniaturization, and the most affected is Taoism. For example, your junior sisters use great light fire, when it spits fire, burns mountains and boils seas, covering the sky and the sun, but if she has shrunk to the size of a thumb, how much fire can she spew? This fighting method is equivalent to being directly useless. Because of this, when external enemies step into the passage, they realize that there is the effect of the law of heaven and earth here, and they will never dare to go deep easily. Generally speaking, the deterrent effect is greater than the defensive effect. If there is no enemy, I don't think it makes sense to remove the enlargement link alone. A Jing. Qiu Changtian sighed and said, don't forget what the requirements of this secret realm are. Isn't it to try to survive? Kunlun Mirror said subconsciously, and then slowly reacted, you mean, thousands of feet of seawater poured in, and was shrunk into a cubic foot of seawater by the law of heaven and earth. Qiu Changtian said with a smile, in this way, this Tianmen Palace secret realm should be able to accommodate a lot of seawater, right? I see. Kunlun Mirror suddenly realized, I can't guarantee this, but I can try. So Qiu Changtian squatted beside the knot of pine and cypress, and studied it carefully with Kunlun Mirror. Zhu Yingliang didn't know Qiu Changtian's plan, but seeing that he stayed beside the pine and cypress and didn't leave, he probably guessed that he wanted to stay in the secret realm to avoid the world-destroying disaster outside, so he simply found an open space in front of the land temple and calmly meditated. After studying the knot of pine and cypress, Qiu Changtian flew up again and circled the entire secret realm several times. This secret realm seems to be boundless, but like the secret realm of Jing'an Temple, it actually has its own boundaries. Qiu Changtian pondered and said, if there were no restrictions of fashion Shihangdi, hiding here would actually be a reasonable choice. After all, even if the secret realm was filled with seawater, it would not be randomly bombarded by stars like the outside, and there would be no undercurrent sweeping across it. But the secret realm itself also has a boundary strength. Kunlun Mirror reminded him, if the entrance is hit by a star bombardment, the secret realm itself will be severely deformed, and even shattered and destroyed, just like Jing'an Temple. You can think of the relationship between the secret realm and the world of cultivation as the relationship between a pocket on a piece of clothing and the clothing itself. If someone splashes dirty water on the clothes, it may not seep into the pocket. But if the clothes are burned by fire, the pocket will never be spared. According to what you said, if Fenbahu Rock is hit head-on by a star, will this secret realm also be destroyed? Kyo changed and frowned and said, and we're in the secret realm, and we can't always monitor whether there are stars falling outside. When the crisis comes, won't we be unaware of it? That's right. Kumlan Mirror replied, it's just that the probability is relatively low. Unless it is hit head-on, given the strength of this Fenbahu Rock, it should not be destroyed by the aftermath of the fall. I just checked, this Fenbahu Rock is not a naturally formed rock, but some kind of huge magic weapon that has been refined. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.